You've guarded the only academy in the world for decades. Yet you've never read a single book inside. On ordinary days, you either chase birds around or confide in the big willow tree in the courtyard. Today, just as you were about to pick up a brush and start painting, you suddenly heard a commotion outside the door. Hurry up. Today is another disciple recruitment day for our sect. That's right, there's no sense of time in these mountains. You've already been in this world for 20 years. At first, you were quite happy when the system followed you here. You thought you could become a legendary chosen one and rule the world. But all this system did was make you check in every day and grant you cultivation points, never giving you any other tasks. So you eventually lost interest day by day. After all, you get cultivation points without even training. So why make things hard on yourself? Now that something exciting is happening in the sect for once, you stroll leisurely over to the other side of the academy gate.
Kangdao Academy?
This is widely regarded as the holy place for preaching and learning. With an exceptionally high status, it doesn't take part in any mundane conflicts. Right now, in front of the academy's mountain gate, dozens of young people who've passed the exam are standing. Each one stands straight and proud, excitedly waiting to be picked by the elders. This year's recruits are pretty impressive. I heard that the direct descendants of the 4 great families from Tianyuan City are all here. Several elders are chatting among themselves. Suddenly, they all turn to look in your direction at the same time. Why did he come out? An elder frowned. The stewards nearby look utterly baffled, totally unaware of who you are. A very senior elder explains with a complicated expression. He's from the thatched cottage. The moment those words are spoken, many people present look visibly uneasy. On the surface, Kangdao Academy only has the Martial Institute and the Literary Institute. But the thatched cottage is a special place independent of both. It isn't under the Academy's jurisdiction, yet it gets to enjoy all the Academy's resources. This has always been a source of discontent for many. But because of the Dean's orders, no one dares to speak out. And you, Lu Changsheng, are the only person in the thatched cottage right now. Since you're always a homebody, you hardly ever go out. So many have almost forgotten that the thatched cottage still has you living there. You walk up to the elders, smiling as you salute. Greetings, elders, you say with a bright smile. Lu Changsheng, what brings you here today? We've never seen you around on recruitment day before. You shake your head easily, feeling bored. So you just came out to see the excitement. You have no intention of accepting disciples. Don't mind me, elders? As soon as you say this, the elders are collectively speechless. A prudent, experienced elder says with clear disappointment in his tone. Lu Changsheng, teaching and passing on knowledge is our duty. You're using the thatched cottage's resources. So why not expand its legacy by accepting disciples? You simply spread your hands and say sincerely, I can't even figure out how to cultivate myself. How could I dare to hold back someone else's future? Besides, teaching disciples is exhausting. I'm perfectly happy having fun on my own. So why bring trouble on myself? Your heartfelt honesty almost makes several elders' tempers flare, just as they're about to reason with you further. The system in your mind, idle for over 20 years, finally activates again. Host mission triggered. Head to Tianyuan City and recruit a disciple. Name, the Kaiyu Bai. Innate talent, SSS grade. Clear sword heart, primal sword body. Born to be a legend. Oh my god, your eyes light up instantly. Without another word, you vanish on the spot, leaving just your voice echoing in the air. Elders, I'm off to Tianyuan City to pick up my disciple. Carry on with what you're doing. Leaving a group of elders utterly dumbfounded in the wind. This guy literally just said he was too lazy to teach, and then immediately rushed off to recruit a disciple in Tianyuan City. Who would believe you? Not to mention, you're ignoring all these top geniuses right here, and just running off to Tianyuan City instead. Aren't all Tianyuan City's geniuses here already? On the high platform outside the family ancestral hall in Tianyuan City, a family strength test is taking place. Next, the Kaiyu Bai. In the corner, a young man quietly stands up, holding a sword. The looks around him are partly sympathetic, partly regretful, but mostly schadenfreude and mockery. After all, everyone knows. The Kaiyu Bai used to be the #1 genius of Tianyuan City, but after getting lost in the Sword Saint realm, his cultivation was utterly ruined. His meridians were damaged. He fell from the clouds to the mud. Up on the platform, the family head, the Qing, who is also the Cayubai's father, looks at his son's lonely back and can only sigh helplessly. Standing by his side is a cold and glamorous woman in fine clothes, her eyes full of indifference. The Cayubai walks up to the testing stone and glances at that woman, his childhood sweetheart, now a total stranger. After he lost his cultivation, their engagement was torn up on the spot. He averts his eyes and places his hand on the spirit stone. A faint light flashes on the stone. The Cayubai key condensation level 3.
Talent, low, elder.
A cold voice echoes across the hall. As expected, a weakling. Can't stand losing your genius status, can you? Had to come up and make a fool of yourself. He offended so many people before. His days are going to be rough from now on. Seeing these results, the woman on the platform finally seems convinced. She turns to leave without a word. The Cayubai listens to the ridicule around him and gives a bitter laugh.
He knows.
The family is no longer a place for him. Suddenly, he seems to make a decision. He calls out loudly to his father on the platform. Father, I'll leave the family today and wander the world alone. I hope you'll allow it, rather than stay here and suffer humiliation. I'd rather go out and fight for a new chance. Maybe there's still a sliver of hope for me. The Qing looks into his son's resolute eyes, and finally, with great pain, nods his approval. The Cayubai bows deeply to his father, then turns and decisively leaves the family. No sooner does he leave Tianyuan City than the Cayubai stops in a dense forest, seeing 3 black-clad men blocking his way. He shows no sign of surprise. You followed me this long, and finally couldn't hold back, huh? The Cayubai knew this day would come. Why did you let it come to this? The leader sneers. Even if I could do it all over again, I'd do exactly the same. The Cayubai says as he quietly grips a jade pendant hidden in his sleeve. That's his last trump card. All he wants to know is one thing. Who's so desperate to see me gone? The man in black snorts. You're already finished, so what's the point of knowing? Before he finishes speaking, the leader draws his sword, its deadly glare slashing straight for the Cayubai's face, clearly aiming to end it in one blow. Just as the Cayubai is about to break the jade pendant and fight for his life, a figure in green appears like a ghost in front of him. Lu Changsheng has finally arrived. You simply stretch out one finger and effortlessly block the fatal sword. The sword's aura melts away on your fingertip, vanishing in an instant. I can't let you hurt him. You say calmly, if anything happened to him, where am I supposed to find a disciple? Who are you? The man in black was shocked and terrified. He hurriedly drew his sword and retreated. You shook your head, not bothering to waste words. You casually tapped your finger with a pop-pop. 2 of the men in black were struck in the center of their foreheads by energy. They lost the ability to fight on the spot. The last remaining ambusher was frozen in terror. You turned to look at the Cayubai. You smiled and said, there's one left. Do you want to ask him yourself? Who's behind all this targeting you? You had already sent someone planning to ambush the Cayubai. The system finally gave you a mission. How could you let these puny thugs ruin it? The Cayubai snapped out of it. He quickly cupped his fists. Thank you for your help, Senior. You nodded. You pressed your palm directly against the top of the lost man in black's head. As terror filled his eyes, you directly used the soul search technique. A moment later, you let go. The man in black was completely unconscious. You looked at the Cayubai. Calmly, you spoke a name, Jiang Chan Hong. Hearing that name, the Cayubai was struck like lightning. He stood frozen in place. He had imagined countless possibilities, but he never expected the one who wanted him gone turned out to be his childhood sweetheart who once swore eternal love with him. Need me to help you settle this? You asked, seeing the grief in the Cayubai's eyes, which was gradually replaced by determination. He shook his head. No need, Senior. This is something I must handle myself. You nodded approvingly. This student is not bad. Only then did the Cayubai solemnly ask, Senior, this great kindness, Cayubai will never forget. May I know your name? You looked at him and smiled slightly. My name is Lu Changsheng. I'm here to take you as my disciple. The Cayubai was stunned to hear that. Then he gave a bitter smile, Senior. Please don't joke. I've lost all my cultivation. My talent's gone. I'm hardly qualified to be your disciple. You said nothing more, just touched his forehead with your finger, and began to examine his physical condition. His meridians were filled with domineering sword energy, his foundation severely damaged. With the right cultivation technique and medicine to repair them, he could come back stronger than before, even better than before. The system actually has this kind of function? So what does he need? Cultivation techniques and pills. After accepting the Kayubai as your disciple, they'll be automatically granted. This is how the system operates, clearly letting you get on the bus first, then buy the ticket. Senior. Seeing you're silent for a while, the Kayubai probed, calling you softly. You came back to your senses, putting on a mysterious smile. Kayubai, what if I told you I could restore you to your peak, and even help you unlock talents you've never even had before, surpassing your old self? Would you be willing to follow me? Back to the peak. Surpass himself. The Kayubai's lifeless eyes instantly shone with brilliance. He had nothing left now. The only thing he wanted in this life was to prove himself and become stronger. This senior before him was unfathomable, dealing with a few ambushers as easily as squashing ants. Why would he bother lying to a weakling like him? The Kayubai didn't hesitate. He dropped to his knees and gave the most solemn apprentice bow. Disciple, the Kayubai greets master. Ding! Congratulations, host, on successfully accepting a disciple. You received the Disciple Recruitment Gift Pack. Reward: Supreme Holy Weapon, Azura Cloud Sword. Reward: Divine Level Technique, Sword Scripture. Reward: Saint Great Elixir, Creation Pill. Apprentice Training Quest initiated. Help your disciple rebuild his foundation and comprehend sword intent within 3 days. You're amazed in your heart. The rewards are holy weapons and elixirs right off the bat. You helped the Kayubai up and nodded with satisfaction. All right, now that you're my disciple, come back to the cottage with me. Dao Hidden Academy's enrollment site. At this point, the various elders had pretty much finished their selection. Only one girl in a red dress stood alone at the center of the grounds, like an eternal block of ice. I want to join the cottage. This was the 5th time she repeated herself. The elders all looked troubled. This new girl in red had top talent and background, yet turned down both the martial and arts academies, insisting on joining the cottage which had been silent for decades. Just then, you returned on your sword with the Kayubai. Lu Changshan, you're finally back. One of the elders pointed at the girl like seeing a savior. She said she wants to join the cottage. You glanced at the new girl in red and refused decisively. No, I'm not taking disciples. After saying that, you led the Kayubai inside. Why? The new girl in red gritted her teeth in frustration. Her family had repeatedly reminded her. The cottage had incredible depth. She had to get in. Without looking back, you tossed out a line. I'm just lazy and don't want to waste anyone's time. You'd better find someone else. What about him? The new girl in red pointed at the Kayubai. He's my disciple. I just accepted him. The whole place fell silent. The elders couldn't help but want to complain. You just said you were too lazy to take disciples. And the next moment you bring one back. That's some serious backtracking speed. The girl in red stared hatefully at your backs, her fists clenching until they cracked. I'll prove to you that rejecting me is a mistake. But you didn't hear any of that.
Take her.
No way, the system hasn't given me a mission. Feeding one more mouth is just more trouble. Back at the cottage, you casually pointed at a few rundown bamboo huts. Pick one, get settled, and come see me for your things when you're ready. Once the Kayubai was settled in, you lounged in a recliner in grand style and waved your hand. A sword faintly pulsing with ominous energy, and a fragrant pill hovered before you. This Azura Cloud sword is yours. Go right in and take this creation pill. It'll help with your urgent injuries. Just as the Kayubai grasped the Azura Cloud sword, his hand began to tremble violently. Even though the sword was still sheathed, the faint but terrifying sword intent ignited his understanding of swordsmanship. Don't unsheath it. Right now you can't handle even a shadow of its power. You reminded him again. Then you tapped his forehead and the profound knowledge of the sword scripture flooded his mind. Use your sword to form your danshin. Forge your meridians with your sword. Create the ultimate sword body. The Kyuubi was left utterly speechless. He'd never even heard of a technique of this level. It was beyond his wildest imagination. He didn't waste another word and swallowed the pill. He immediately sat down cross-legged in the yard and began practicing like crazy. You went inside and checked the system. 3 days left on the mission. He must reach the Golden Core stage and comprehend sword intent. 3 days to go from 0 to Golden Core? And he has to comprehend sword intent too. You twitched your lips. Is your system trying to make my life hard? Fine, let me show you what a real pill-powered breakthrough looks like. You casually summon an alchemy furnace. The furnace fire flares up instantly. Pure Yang Crimson Blood pills, spirit-focusing pills, foundation-nurturing pills. Rare herbs are tossed in like common cabbages. On the first day, the spiritual energy around the Kyuubi riots, transforming into a massive vortex. You casually flick out several talismans of righteous ki, directly sealing off the aura of the straw hut. The righteous ki booms. The Kyuubi's aura begins to skyrocket. Ki refining 3rd, 6th, and 9th stage. Foundation establishment, and then the peak of foundation establishment. In just one short day, he directly crosses 2 major cultivation realms.
He's only half a step away from the Golden Core stage.
When he opens his eyes, he picks up a branch and dances with it. The sword techniques of the primordial sword scripture are beginning to take shape. The Kyuubi kneels on both knees in excitement. Once your disciple has settled his business, I will serve by master's side forever. You casually toss a bottle of pills over to him, as if throwing away trash. Enough, don't get sentimental. Here's a batch of pills. Take them and eat them like candy. You must break through to the Golden Core stage within 2 days. The Kyuubi looks at the bottle in his hand. These are top-tier pills that would make the outside world fight to the death. He's completely stunned by his master's standards. You call this a single batch? Late in the night of the second day, the Kyuubi sits cross-legged on a blue stone. The whistle of swords within his body is deafening. The Golden Core is formed, but he is missing the final step. Sword intent. He is utterly perplexed. His gaze inadvertently falls upon the painting from 2 days ago. The 5 swords of the sword immortal. You drew casually. Upon looking, he becomes completely entranced. You stretch and walk out of the room, seeing that he has reached a critical moment of realization. You casually recite 2 lines. A silver saddle shines on a white horse, galloping as swiftly as a shooting star. The Kyuubi's whole body trembles. His sword ki instantly runs wild. You immediately follow up with another strike, killing a man every 10 steps, leaving no trace for 1,000 miles, brushing off one's clothes when the task is done, hiding both fame and deeds. A soaring sword intent rises from the straw hut, piercing straight into the clouds. In an instant, the entire Hidden Way Academy is awakened by this sharp sword intent. Who is breaking through to sword intent? Within the martial hall, the woman in red suddenly opens her eyes, looking toward the direction of the straw hut, her eyes filled with utter disbelief. Ding! The nurturing mission has been successfully completed. Reward received. The 9 Netherworld Great Array, Sword Dao Principles, and 1,000 years of cultivation. You feel the surging power within your body, feeling quite satisfied. But this 9 Netherworld Great Array is a good thing. It's just missing a core suppressing material. Crimson Wood Heavenly Gold. The straw hut doesn't have this in stock. Time to go fleece the academy for some resources. You swagger into the dining hall of the Civil Academy. Principal Shin Tianan is holding a meeting with a group of elders. I heard the straw hut took in a disciple. Chin Tianan's face is full of curiosity. The door swings open with a bang as you push it. Oh, the principal and everyone are here. You give a casual greeting. Chin Tianan's face darkens. Lu Changsheng, you're not at home. What are you doing here with your disciple? I want to visit the treasure vault to get some Crimson Wood Heavenly Gold to set up an array. Crimson Wood Heavenly Gold? The elders present almost jump out of their seats. That's a strategic resource. How can we just give it to you? The chief elder snorts coldly. You don't even understand arrays. Isn't taking Crimson Wood Heavenly Gold a total waste? Chin Tianan waves his hand, looking at you. Little Changsheng, I can give the item to you, but you have to agree to one condition. You frown, realizing things aren't simple. What condition? If it's about making my disciple fight, then forget it. Qin Tianan chuckles. Smart. In the 4 Imperial Academies tournament in 3 months, you must lead the Straw Hut into battle. Principle that Crimson Wood Heavenly Gold. Even our Hidden Way Academy doesn't have much. The elders are getting anxious. This Crimson Wood Heavenly Gold is a rare commodity. Qin Tianan ignores them, simply staring at you. You sigh to yourself. Going out to find it would be a real hassle too. You have no choice but to nod. Please speak, Principal. Qin Tianan smiles. It's very simple. Didn't you personally go to Tianyuan City a few days ago to recruit a disciple? In 1 week, the Academy tournament will begin. I need your disciple to participate in the Academy tournament. I have to ask him if he's willing. You intentionally draw out your words, glancing at the pile of Crimson Wood Heavenly Gold. This Crimson Wood Heavenly Gold? Never mind, he's my disciple. If I say 1, he wouldn't dare say 2. It's a deal, Qin Tianan. My dear disciple, it's not that your master isn't loyal. It's just that he offered way too much. Task settled. You leisurely return to the straw hut. The Kayubai is practicing his sword in front of the bamboo hut. Sword ki is surging, and sword light is overflowing. It looks quite flashy. You curl your lip. Sword ki must be restrained. What's the use of all this flashiness? It's all style and no substance. Upon hearing this, the Kayubai instantly understands. He performs the technique again. This time, the sword moves become plain and simple, but with hidden sharpness. As the sun sets, the Kayubai sheathes his sword and stands. You saunter out of the house. Master, the Kayubai bows. Cultivate well these few days. 7 days later is the Academy tournament. Go and participate. The Academy tournament? The Kayubai's eyes burn with fighting spirit. Yes, Master. I understand. Meanwhile, Great Elder the Lin of the family in Tianyuan City looks at his son, the Yan, with a face full of pride. Yanar, you have been taken as a disciple by an elder of the Hidden Way Academy. You should perform well and not lose face for our the family. As he speaks, he casts a contemptuous glance at the Qing. The Yan bows and smiles. Father, don't worry. In this tournament, I will surely win glory for the family and win back all the face that weakling the Kayubai lost for us. The Qing's face is livid, but he cannot say a single word. The Lin laughs loudly, patting the Qing's shoulder. Patriarch, I'll be supporting things from now on. The younger generation of the family will never decline. His tone is clearly meant to belittle the Qing. 2 days before the Academy tournament, the Kayubai stands before the 5 swords of the Sword Immortal painting, falling into a state of realization once again. Sword ki explodes from his body,
his aura skyrocketing to the peak of the Golden Core stage.
He can't help but marvel. As expected of Master, there's a new realization every time I look at this. If he knew you just drew this casually, he'd probably be scared to tears. However, he also sensed a bottleneck. During these days, the Kayubai also learned the rules of the Hidden Way Academy. Contribution points can be exchanged for techniques and treasures. And to earn contribution points, besides missions and contributions, the most direct way is to go to the martial stage, to verify what he has learned through actual combat, and earn some contribution points along the way. The Kayubai was carrying a wooden sword and strode down the mountain, full of confidence. He arrived at the registration desk. The elder didn't even look up and just asked for his name. Hall, cultivation level, contribution points, Chaoting, the Kayubai. Jinden stage, 100 contribution points. The elder from Chaoting looked up at him, handed him a badge. Number 11 Jinden stage. The sparring match began. Go ahead directly. The Kayubai cupped his fist to express his thanks. Not long after he entered the stage area, Number 11 was called. The Kayubai leaped lightly and jumped onto the stage. His opponent was a burly, muscular man. His whole body exuded explosive power. Marshall Hall's Li He against Chaoting's the Kayubai. Jinden stage. Wager is doubled. The elder announced that Chaoting hasn't taken in students for decades. Chaoting. Heard they're recruiting again. Let's see what they're capable of. Li He sneered. A disciple of Chaoting. I want to see what you've got. The Kayubai said nothing. He only revealed his wooden sword. Cut the chatter. Just fight. In midair, Qin Tianan arrived with several elders as well. Looks like you're all curious about the students that Kid Changsheng is taking in. Qin Tianan chuckled. The Sword Hall elder snorted coldly. If his disciple isn't up to par, then don't waste the academy's resources. Elder Tang agreed with the headmaster. The opinion in the academy is getting louder. You can't suppress it anymore. Qin Tianan sighed. Let's watch and see. The match began. Li He stomped the ground hard and shot forward like a cannonball. He threw a punch straight at the Kaiyubai's chest. Martial Hall disciples are physically strong. Li, he is one of the best. This punch came with a sonic boom. The air was squeezed, making a shrill sound. The audience was shocked. Li He's punch. Even peak Jinden couldn't withstand it. The Kaiyubai still stood motionless, probably scared stiff. So much for KOing. The Kaiyubai's expression remained calm. Indeed, his physical strength is impressive, but that's all there is to it. He held the wooden sword and flicked it forward in a light thrust, trying to block my punch with a wooden sword. Li, he let out a wild laugh. He slammed his fist hard at the wooden sword, but the wooden sword didn't shatter as expected. Instead, his fist seemed to hit the sharpest blade. In just an instant, the wooden sword pierced through his fist. Li, his face turned drastically pale. He staggered back repeatedly. The Sword Hall elder's gaze turned serious. Sword energy is restrained. This guy's control of sword energy is outstanding. Restraint isn't hard, but to keep it inside a wooden sword, that's just unbelievable. The Martial Hall elder's face turned grim. Look at that again. It's still not enough. The audience was completely dumbfounded. The Kaiyubai kept a poker face, shot forward like an arrow wooden sword, waving, creating sword arcs, like a sword net, instantly enveloping Li He. Li He realized he had underestimated his opponent. The sword net sliced through the air, the breath of swords sweeping by. His powerful body started showing marks everywhere, not enough to seriously wound him. Li, he let out a furious roar. Both arms turned to stone, a black gold color spreading out, transforming into black gold gauntlets. That's a top-tier treasure. Black gold gauntlets, plus Hanshin Fist. Li He's strongest technique. He once used this move to defeat a peak Jinden stage opponent. Seeing this, the Kaiyubai showed a hint of surprise. But just for a moment, this punch is indeed quite powerful. If it weren't for the Taiku Sword Sutra and medicinal cleansing, I probably couldn't block it. But now the wooden sword slashed down, sword energy erupting. The sword net grew sharper and denser, as if it could slice through space. Sword clashed with gauntlet, and the clanging was deafening. The force waves surged violently. The standoff lasted only an instant. Cracks appeared all over Li He's black gold gauntlets. Crack, the gauntlets shattered. His petrified arms were also covered in fissures. Golden sparks flew out. Li, he screamed in pain, and was sent flying backward, falling off the stage. The winner, KOing's the Kaiyubai. The elder announced the result. The whole place fell silent. Li He, one of Martial Hall's top disciples, actually lost to an unknown KOing disciple. And the Kaiyubai looked relaxed the entire time, clearly not using his full strength. Qin Tianan burst out laughing. Looks like that kid Changsheng does have a good eye. The Culture Hall elder nodded too. This kid truly has outstanding talent. The Sword Hall elder stared intently at the Kaiyubai, deep in thought. The elder walked up to the Kaiyubai with a strange expression. The Kaiyubai, you now have 200 contribution points. Do you want to keep challenging? If you lose everything. The Kaiyubai didn't hesitate at all. The elder nodded in approval. He announced the next challenger, Jianing Qiuming. Qiuming looked at the Kaiyubai with a serious expression. Your strength is formidable, but I wonder if you can break through my formation. With a flick of his fingers, flags shot out one after another. In an instant, a colorful mist shrouded the area. The entire arena was completely enveloped. This is Qiuming's 7 illusion maze array. Anyone trapped inside will experience 7 different illusions. If you can't escape, you'll be stuck forever. Isn't the Kaiyubai in big trouble now? The Zhandang elder burst out laughing. Qiuming is my personal disciple. This will be tough for the Kaiyubai. But the Sword Hall elder shook his head. Sword cultivators have unwavering resolve. Such illusions can't hold them. Let's wait and see. Within the maze, The first illusion the Kyuubi saw was the day of his family's talent test. Next up, the Kyuubi. All around, mocking faces laughed at him. Sharp words surged like a tide. Yet his heart remained calm as still water. He placed his palm on the sky-piercing stone. In that instant, sword energy burst forth like a rainbow, filling the entire illusion. Crack! The first illusion shattered. Then the second and third quickly followed. All the way to the sixth illusion. He instantly cut through the line. The seventh illusion appeared. A little girl followed closely behind a little boy, calling out sweetly, "Brother Kyuubi." They grew up together as childhood friends. The boy was the #1 prodigy in Tianyuan City. Suddenly the scene changed. The girl grew up, becoming dazzling and graceful. But the boy lost all his talent. The girl held a marriage contract and tore it up right in front of him. In the grand hall, Shin Hongyi learned about the Kyuubi's string of victories. Narrow, phoenix-like eyes narrowed slightly. So he's the one who was exceptionally admitted to the grass hall. He drew his long sword, spiritual energy blazing around him like fire. Since Lu Changshen chose you over me, I'll prove in front of the whole academy just how bad his judgment is. That day, Shin Hongyi stormed the arena with a single sword, winning 10 matches in a row. No one could last a single round against him. On stage, he pointed his sword to the sky, his voice shaking the whole venue. At the academy tournament, I'll personally crush the Kyuubi. The entire academy erupted in an uproar. Meanwhile, in the dark courtyard of the martial hall, the Yan stared intently at the stone table, digging his nails so deep they nearly broke the skin. Impossible! The Kyuubi's foundation was supposed to be ruined. How could he recover to his peak in just a few days? A shadow flickered in his eyes. Now, with the family in the midst of a power struggle, if those old men find out, the Kyuubi not only survived, but became even more monstrous. Will his father, the Grand Elder, be able to hold on to his seat? He absolutely cannot be allowed to return to the clan safely. Meanwhile, the Kyuubi himself was holding on to a huge pile of contribution points from the arena. Walking into the Five Paths Pavilion, he skipped right past techniques considered treasures outside. He didn't even spare them a glance. Compared to the Taiku sword manual my master gave me, these techniques are nothing at all. His admiration for Lu Sheng rose several more levels. Even the techniques he casually gives out can outshine those from the top sects in the southern region. What level of expert is my master really? Meanwhile, relaxing and sunbathing in the grass hall, he suddenly sneezed. Who's talking behind my back? The Kyuubi wandered around Area 5G and was eventually drawn to a dusty, old scroll. The 9 demon swords. The sword moves in the Taiku sword manual are too powerful. Using them now drains too much spiritual power. I'll use this incomplete scroll as a stopgap for now. He took the scroll to be registered. The head elder didn't even look up and offered a kind warning. This thing only has the first 3 volumes. Even the academy doesn't have the other 6. Practicing it is just a waste of time. Are you sure? The Kyuubi stubbornly nodded. He handed over his contribution points and went straight back to Grass Hall. In the yard, you kept muttering about the wasteful tree and that useless bird, while burying spiritual herbs under the willow tree.
Casually.
You tossed a few top-grade spiritual fruits to that red-feathered bird. When the Kyuubi got back, you tossed aside the shovel, finished covering the remaining dirt, then come see me. After he was done, you glanced at the scroll in his hand. The 9 demon swords. Defective product. Ding. Detected. Incomplete Earth-class sword technique. System is able to auto-repair, upgrade and repair. You recited silently in your heart. Next second, the complete 9-sword manual was etched into your mind. You pointed with your finger, touching the Kyuubi's forehead, and instantly transmitted the entire sword manual to him. Afterwards, you casually picked up a dead tree branch. Watch closely. That's not how you use a sword. You flicked your wrist, casually drawing 9 sword moves. At that moment, the Kyuubi was awestruck. The 9 demon swords you performed not only completed the last 6 sword moves, but every transition between moves flowed perfectly. The demonic aura was intense, yet each move radiated an otherworldly sword intent. Mediocre work. It'll do for practice. 2 days later. Don't let me down. Now go cook. I'm starving. You dropped the branch and walked back to the house with your hands behind your back. The Kyuubi bowed deeply to your retreating silhouette, his eyes full of fervor, effortlessly repairing a top-level sword technique. Master truly is a superhuman. 2 days later, at the Academy tournament, the Yenwu Square was packed with people. 6 massive platforms stood tall and imposing. The Dean Qin Tianan presided in person. You were forcibly dragged to the elders' seats by him too. You slouched in your chair, your face screaming, "I just want to go home and sleep." Qin Tianan shot you a glare. Your disciple is about to compete. Can't you show a little dignity as his master? You yawned. Will dignity fill my stomach? Just then, a fiery red figure streaked through the sky, landing squarely in the center. On the main stage, Kang Sheng appeared, red-robed the Kyuubi. Where are you? Come up and face me. You blinked. Kyuubi, when did you offend that girl? Why is she so fired up? The Sword Hall elder beside you turned green. Lu Changsheng, you're the one who rejected her that time. Now she's taking it out on your disciple. You innocently rubbed your nose. How is this my fault? I did it for her own good. Following a lazy guy like me wouldn't get her anywhere. On stage, the Kyuubi slowly walked up with his wooden sword. A single strand of scarlet brow raised in anger. Using a wooden sword, are you looking down on me? The Kyuubi calmly replied, Master once said, anything can be a sword, grass, wood, bamboo, or stone. A wooden sword is more than enough to defeat you. Watching from the elders' seats. Oh God, did I ever say anything that cool? Jin Hongyu was furious. He put away his Xuanji treasure sword and swapped it for an iron sword. Fine, I won't take advantage of you either.
Take this, he swung his sword.
Flames filled the air, his sword energy twisting like fiery serpents, instantly locking down the space. The Kyuubi remained composed, sweeping out with his wooden sword, sending forth an extremely restrained energy. Yet that overbearing black demonic energy exploded in an instant. At that moment, Huo Qingming, Martial Hall's top talent, stood beneath the 9 heavenly demon swords. He looked at those beside him in shock and confusion. The Yan lowered his voice. Brother Huo, this is the guy I mentioned to you earlier. If you get a chance, please help me suppress him. Huo Qingming stroked his chin and sneered. Don't worry, if I get paid, I'll handle the trouble. A little punk at Gold Core stage is no big deal. Up on the platform, the 2 swords clashed. Shin Hongyi thought his flames would immediately burn the wooden sword to ashes. But when the swords collided, he realized his opponent's demonic energy was actually devouring his flames. How is that possible? The very first strike is already this strong. The Kyuubi's gaze turned cold. His aura was changing. A supreme, peerless demonic presence surged into the sky. The second sword. A Sword Hall elder jumped straight out of his chair in shock. Only 2 days, he's only practiced for 2 days. Shin Hongyi's face went pale, faced with this sword. It didn't feel like he was up against a man, but a demon lord who could suppress all ages. He gritted his teeth hard, spitting out a mouthful of his vital essence, and summoned a profound tier treasured sword. He offered his source to empower the blade. Break it for me. Flames exploded. A wave of fire shot to the heavens. Yet before that overwhelmingly powerful black demonic sword, all struggle became a joke. Swoosh! The black sword aura swept across. The flames were extinguished instantly. Shin Hongyi screamed in agony. His body flew from the stage like a broken kite. Golden light rained down from above. The Kyuubi stood with sword in hand. His aura remained perfectly steady. Thank you for letting me win. The crowd was dead silent. A proud son of heaven from the Lan Yu secret clan had actually been instantly defeated by a wooden sword in 2 strikes. Shin Hongyi collapsed to the ground, crying out in pain. He admitted defeat willingly. Finally, he understood why Lu Changsheng chose the Kyuubi over him. This is the difference between us. I lost, but next time I'll win it back. Qin Tianan looked at you like you were a monster. You little rascal. You're really something when it comes to teaching disciples. That you're grinning ear to ear on the inside, huh? You tilt your head, chewing on a blade of grass, face full of melancholy. Happy about what? That guy was too high profile. What if 10,000 people show up tomorrow wanting to join the Grass Hall? How am I supposed to slack off then? You secretly grind your teeth. Kyuubi is really too reckless. I'll have to teach him to be more low-key later. Meanwhile, in the audience, the Yan's face was ashen. Even though he's at the Purple Mansion stage, a whole major realm higher than the Kyuubi's peak gold core, that sword the Kyuubi just used to defeat Shin Hongyi made his scalp tingle with dread. That kind of oppressive feeling. It's not like he even went all out. So why do I feel like I'd be instantly crushed? The Yan's expression twisted, a mix of fear and hatred welling inside. That cousin who was once crippled, chased like a stray dog, is now standing above him, back on top of the world. Brother Huo, it's your turn now. The Yan grabbed Huo Qingming's sleeve, so anxious his voice was shaking. Huo Qingming frowned, pushed away the Yan's hand, and spoke with clear impatience and disdain. What's the rush? Since I owe your dad a favor, I'll settle this myself. He leapt onto the stage, landing heavily in front of the Kyuubi. Boom! Marshall Hall's Huo Qingming, mid-Purple Mansion stage. Let's fight. The whole arena gasped. Even the Marshall Hall elders among the judges felt their faces flush with embarrassment. Huo Qingming bullying someone weaker is one thing, but he's a monster who can beat even peak Purple Mansion cultivators. And now he's fighting a gold core? That's just too much. You lounge in your chair, lazily lifting your eyelids. Qin Tianan leaned over and asked, Changshan, your disciple's in big trouble this time. Huo Qingming's body is already at a saintly level. It's basically like fighting an iron block. Should I be ready to jump in and save him? You yawn? Calm down. They haven't even started. On stage, Huo Qingming said in a deep voice, The Kyuubi, I'm paying back a favor, so I'll suppress your cultivation. If you beat me, I'll tell you who my employer is. If you lose, just accept your fate. The Kyuubi leveled his wooden sword ahead. His gaze turned frosty. You want to suppress me? Let's see if your bones are hard enough. Before he finished speaking, the Kyuubi made the first move. The wooden sword became a streak of dark demonic light, sweeping forth with an aura that forced all beings to kneel. Demon Sword 9 techniques. The first sword, Huo Qingming, snorted coldly. He threw out both fists simultaneously. A terrifying shockwave turned into a sonic boom, colliding with the sword's edge. Bang! The shockwave dispersed. The Kyuubi used the force to leap backward. Huo Qingming looked a bit surprised. Such fierce sword energy. A mere foundation establishment cultivator can really take my punch without recoiling. You do have the right to be arrogant. But this wooden sword of yours should be shattered now, right? The Kyuubi lowered his head and glanced at the untouched wooden sword. You must be joking. This wood was personally imbued with my master's sword intent. It's even tougher than my body. The second sword. The Kyuubi lunged forward again. His demonic energy surged to twice its strength. Huo Qingming crossed his arms. His skin took on a metallic, iron-like sheen. He braced himself and endured the sword strike. Sparks flew everywhere upon impact. Shockingly, Huo Qingming was forced back a full 5 steps. What tremendous power! Huo Qingming finally set aside his disdain. His arms were trembling. That demonic aura actually tried to seep into his meridians. If this is all you can do, then it's over. Huo Qingming roared furiously. His body suddenly expanded. He transformed into a giant golden iron tower. The pressure of a mid-stage Purple Mansion cultivator erupted in full. It was so overwhelming that disciples below the platform fell to their knees. This is Senior Brother Huo's immortal golden body. His physique matches the peak of Purple Mansion realm. The Yan laughed menacingly from below the stage. Fall, the Kyuubi. Fall for me. Facing Huo Qingming charging forward like a mountain, the Kyuubi closed his eyes. A painting you once drew flashed through his mind. He'd admired it before. When you performed sword moves with a tree branch, you carried that same effortless grace. At the instant of the third sword, it felt as if all the spiritual energy in the plaza had been drained. A massive black demonic sword that touched sky and earth took shadowy form behind the Kyuubi. The Sword Hall elder jumped up in shock. The third sword he's only trained for 2 days. And he actually mastered the third sword. Qin Tianan and the Marshall Hall elder couldn't sit still anymore. Spiritual power was already gathered at their fingertips, both ready to save Huo Qingming at any moment. The black sword key quietly descended. yet it ripped open the very space, emitting a chilling, tooth-grinding, tearing sound. Huo Qingming's pupils shrank to pinpoints. He felt real danger. He desperately summoned his highest-grade, profound-level treasure, a set of golden chains. But before the demonic sword, the chains snapped like noodles, one after another. Stop! Elder Tang instantly appeared in the arena. He slapped out with his palm, finally dissipating the lingering demonic energy. Even so, golden light still flowed unceasingly on Huo Qingming's arms. He collapsed to the ground. The whole place fell silent. Foundation establishment versus Purple Mansion. Leaping realms and instant victory. The Kaiyubai's face was slightly pale. He sheathed his sword and stood straight, looking over at Huo Qingming. Who sent you? Huo Qingming was gasping. He downed a pill and replied bitterly, the Yan. The Kaiyubai whipped his head around. From below, the Yan sensed something was wrong and had long since slipped away. So it was really him, something's happened to his family. The Kaiyubai's eyes grew deep. With the competition over, the Kaiyubai easily secured a spot in the exchange event and received both the clear spirit pill and the breaking tummy pill. He returned to the straw hut, just in time to see a bunch of elders crowding around you, spitting with excitement. Changshan, take in a few more disciples, will you? Just one. The Kaiyubai has already made our academy famous. You looked like you'd lost all hope in life. There's no time. Still have to cultivate immortality. And besides, Kaiyubai basically taught himself everything. Had nothing to do with me. Qin Tianan let out a sigh. He stuffed you the pouch containing the Scarletwood Heaven crystal. Use it sparingly. Remember to have Kaiyubai join the exchange competition on time. As soon as the elders left, you took the Scarletwood Heaven crystal, gave the Kaiyubai a look. Heading back to the family? The Kaiyubai nodded firmly. The Yan is coming after me, which means my father's in danger. Master, I need to go back. You gave him a sideways glance. To you, Tianyuan City is a death trap now. Resolve yourself, sword cultivators never back down. You smiled in satisfaction. Fine. Shows a bit of my own style. Go then. Advance to Purple Mansion before you leave. And take these with you. You tossed him a few homemade candy-like pills and a handful of protective talismans. The Kaiyubai held these top-grade pills and grumbled inwardly again. The Academy's award. Those 2 pills can't even compare to Master's gifts. The Kaiyubai retreated to his room to break through to the Purple Mansion realm. You snuck off to the cliff with the materials in hand. You toyed with the thunderstruck wood in your hand, as well as the Zhuanhuang Earth and Scarletwood Heaven crystal, and sighed. Everything's ready. Just need a bottle of Nether Spring as an elixir. The willow tree beside you rustled in the breeze. What's so hard about that? You've already mastered the way of the sword. You can pierce through space. Just go borrow a barrel from the netherworld. You smacked your forehead. Right, almost forgot about that. Make a bit of noise. The elders probably won't notice. One swing of your sword. A pitch-black rift ripped open in midair. A frigid, deathly aura instantly flooded the next day. Inside the Kaiyubai's room, a force with unstoppable sharpness burst forth. In the forbidden city of Purple Mansion, he left behind a letter and walked down the mountain with his wooden sword without looking back. Meanwhile, in Tianyuan City's Jiang family, Jiang Chan, once betrothed to the Kaiyubai, was wearing an icy expression. At her side, a noble young man in yellow robes spoke softly. Channer, forget it. Even if he regains his talent, so what? Come back with me to Luo, to the Domain Lord's faction. One day, when I become Domain Lord, you'll be the lady of the domain. Jiang Chan nodded silently. She let him take her hand. They boarded a massive floating dragon ship. The dragon ship soared into the sky, disappearing into the horizon. He eventually chose to let go and gave up on the past. Netherworld's secret realm, land of reincarnation. The sky is forever gray, lifeless, corrosive miasma drifts in the air. You stand in front of a murky yellow river. A stone bridge spans the river. Countless restless spirits shuffle numbingly ahead. Who dares trespass in my netherworld? A thunderous roar echoed. 6 figures surrounded by immense death key appeared in midair. They quickly encircled you. Speak, living one, state your name. Why have you entered the Forbidden's realm? The leader barked out a harsh question. You dug in your ear nonchalantly and spoke out loudly. Don't panic. It's nothing major. I just want to borrow a bit of nether spring from your place. Impudent! The six figures were furious. The spring is the essence of the realm, the very source itself. How could a living person lay a hand on it? You sighed helplessly. Looks like I'll need to reason with my fist. You raised your wooden sword. A sharp sword energy pierced the sky. The six figures braced themselves as if facing a great enemy. Instantly, they each summoned their trump cards. Get ready to face my thunderous strike. You shouted out with righteous indignation. All right, stop just standing there. Come at me one by one. Six figures appeared. You don't actually plan to all attack at once, do you? You pointed at them in anguish. You are at least the guardians of the secret realm. How could you do such a thing? That's completely against the rules. The faces of the six secret realm envoys were already dark. Now they were as dark as the bottom of a pot. Damn it. You barge in to steal our ancestral treasure, and you want to talk about rules with us? You think we're a bunch of fools? Don't waste time talking to him. Take him down and throw him into the 9 nether purgatory. Let him be tempered by the earth fire. The 6 shadowy figures transformed into 6 deadly rays, rushing toward you with annihilating force. You shook your head. With the wooden sword in your hand, you made a gentle slash forward. There were no earth-shattering effects, but the entire space of the nether secret realm was shattered like a mirror hit by a sledgehammer. Crumbling inch by inch, the nether spring boiled violently. The stone bridge collapsed with a roar. Power of the Dao laws. Sword Dao law. How could anyone possibly comprehend Dao law in this world? The 6 envoys spewed their essence in terror. Working together, they summoned an ancient, ornate gate engraved with a demon's face. Rashomon rumbled. That slash that shattered the void landed squarely on Rashomon. In just a moment, Rashomon, known as the strongest defense artifact of the secret realm, let out a heartrending wail. Cracks spread wildly like a spider web. The 6 envoys spat out golden light and were blown backward. Their auras were utterly exhausted. You sheathed your wooden sword. Frowning, you asked, "So, can I borrow it now?" The 6 of them struggled to stand up, their faces bitter. "It's not that we don't want to lend it to you, sir. This spirit spring is sentient. It must approve you in person. If you slash at us a few more times, this secret realm will have to be restarted." With your friendly request, they could only take you to a side hall. Inside, an illusory figure stood with its back to you. It turned around. It turned out to be a handsome young man with delicate features. "I already know why you've come." The youth, actually the spirit of the spring, spoke. "You may borrow the nether spring, but you must agree to one condition. In the future, find a new master for this nether secret realm." You thought it over, deciding it wouldn't be that hard. Worst comes to worst, just send Kyubai over someday. Make him the secret realm master. Deal. The youth waved his hand. The surging nether spring condensed into a yellow pearl the size of a longan. It floated in front of you. You took the item, turned, and left. With a single slash, you cut open space. Returned to the thatched cottage. The moment you left, across the nether spring, a faint red spiritual body flashed after you like lightning. On the cliff at the cottage, you threw the spring pearl into the formation's core. The pearl exploded, turning into a giant yellow dragon formed from the nether spring. It coiled above the mountain peak, letting out a soul-shaking roar. The number 1 ancient killing formation is complete. A formless aura of slaughter covered the entire cottage. The willow tree swayed gently, concealing all abnormal phenomena. What kind of formation is this? It's 100 times more powerful than even my nation's guardian array in my prime. Far more formidable. A cool, slightly surprised woman's voice sounded by your side. You turned around, seeing the woman who had appeared unnoticed. But you weren't surprised. She wore a battle robe in red and white, her long fiery hair standing upright, exuding heroism. Her face was as radiant as morning glow on snow, and in her eyes, bright as stars, there was an innate pride that looked down on all creation. That was an intangible royal aura, as if she could command armies effortlessly. Weren't you just a spirit? How did you form a physical body now? You asked curiously. Ding! Special character information detected. Loading. Name: Hong Ying. Cultivation: 9 revolutions. Reincarnation Sutra. Completed 8 revolutions. Physique: Reincarnation sacred body. innate imperial fate, SS level talent, identity, 8th reincarnation of the founding empress of the Yun Imperial Empire. Reincarnated spirit body mission issued. Host, please accept Hong Ying as a disciple. Warning, this mission is extremely difficult. The reward is extremely generous. Founding empress? No wonder she's so proud. That imperial aura is useless to you. Instead, it made Hong Ying extremely surprised. Someone can actually ignore his status. So, are you stroking your chin? Let's get straight to the point. Do you want to become my disciple? What? Hong Ying's beautiful eyes widened. She let out a mocking laugh. You want me to call you my master? You're not qualified. You shrugged. But you didn't care. However, Hong Ying glanced around, feeling the strong spiritual aura in this place. Staying here for a while doesn't sound bad. With that said, he actually picked a wooden cabin and walked in without a word. At this moment in Tianyuan City, when the Kaiubai appeared in all white, walking down the main street with a wooden sword in hand, the whole city was in an uproar. Isn't that the Kaiubai from the family?
He actually dared to come back?
Wasn't he chased out of Tianyuan City? Let's go take a look at the family. There's going to be a good show today. News spread through the city like a storm. Jiang Tianhen, head of the Zhang family, sighed deeply upon hearing it. Chenner owes him. Send out the order. Come with me to the family. We must protect his life at all costs. And over at the Qiu family, one of the 4 major families. Young master, something big happened. This is bad. A servant dashed into the attic, stumbling over himself. Surrounded by beautiful women, Qiu Sifu's face darkened. What's the fuss about? Can't even explain yourself? I'll send you to feed the snakes. The servant trembled. The Kaiubai is back. Qiu Sifu shoved the woman next to him aside. He instinctively covered his chest. There was a ferocious sword scar there, left by the Kaiubai back in the day. Murderous intent and excitement flared in his eyes. He sneered. Good. Very good, he finally returned. Send out the order. Gather all the guards. Come with me to the family. Today I'll defeat him with my own hands. The atmosphere in the family's hall was stifling. The Lin and his son were on pins and needles. The Yan looked at the Kaiubai, dressed in white, returning without a scratch.
His legs shook.
He knew very well. Back during the academy competition, he targeted the Kaiubai with others. The Kaiubai was definitely aware of it. The Qin helped up the Kaiubai, tears streaming down his face. But his heart was full of worry. Kaiubai, you acted rashly. You shouldn't have come back. The Kaiubai smiled calmly. His voice echoed in the hall. Father, if I didn't come back, then the family, wouldn't it be taken over by some people with ulterior motives? The Lin and his son's faces turned pale. They were about to make an excuse, when suddenly there was thunderous sound of hooves outside. Qiu Sifu of the Qiu family came to pay his respects. Brother Kaiubai. Qiu Sifu, clad in a fiery red robe, stepped into the hall bringing a menacing aura with him. The sword scar on his chest seemed to tingle, a reminder of the fear the Kaiubai once instilled in him. Now he had reached Purple Palace stage. But to him, the Kaiubai was still a weakling. Soon after, Jiang Tianhen, the Jiang family's head, arrived as well. His expression was complicated, but Jiang Chan was nowhere to be seen. The Kaiubai's gaze swept over coldly. Jiang Tianhen, the childhood sweetheart in his heart, was long gone. Now there was only a deadly enemy left. Qiu Sifu sneered, drawing his saber. The Qing, hand over the Kaiubai. Otherwise, after today, there will be no more the family in Tianyuan City. The Qing was about to make a move. But the Kaiubai placed a hand on her shoulder, walking forward alone. You want revenge? I'm right here. Take your shot. Jiang Tianhan couldn't help but speak up. Kaiubai, stand down. While there's life, there's hope. Don't throw your life away for nothing. The Kaiubai's eyes flashed to the side. He understood. Seems like Jiang Tianhan didn't know about the incident years ago. But he didn't back down. Instead, he raised the shabby-looking wooden sword. Looking for a fight? Qiu Sifu shouted. The mid-purple palace stage pressure swept through the room. His saber slashed toward the Kaiubai's head like a thunderbolt. This strike was meant to chop both man and wooden sword in half. The Qing's eyes went wide with fury. But Qiu family's experts held her back tightly. Just when everyone was sure the Kaiubai would lose, The Kyuubi moved. No earth-shaking aura. Just a simple swish. The wooden sword struck after but landed first. It pierced through as if it were just tofu, going right through Kyu Sifu's black iron saber and stabbing into his throat. Golden liquid gushed forth. Kyu Sifu's eyes bulged. He gripped the wooden sword tightly, unable to utter a single sound. Even until his death, he didn't understand how a rotten wooden sword could break his divine weapon and shatter his purple palace golden body. The whole place fell silent, defeated in a single move. A mid-stage purple palace cultivator. The Kyuubi casually pulled his wooden sword out. Not even a speck of dust on it. Father, I'm restored. He nodded slightly to the chin. News exploded through Tianyuan City like a plague. The former prodigy. The king has returned. The Ling collapsed in his chair, his whole body cold. He originally wanted to seize power while the Kyuubi was crippled, but now he felt death standing behind him. Jiang Tianhan said bitterly. Kyuubi Channer. She's already gone. She joined the Sunset Domain Lord of North Region Dominion. If you want revenge, listen to your uncle's advice. Let it go. The Sunset Domain Lord's forces. Their lord is ranked among the top 5 of the Wubang martial roll. That's a height you will never reach in your life. Never reach in your lifetime. In the Kyuubi's mind, he pictured you in the cottage picking your teeth, casually fixing an ancient divine array. He shook his head calmly. You don't need to worry about that. Is the Sunset Domain Lord's force really that strong? In my master's eyes, it'd probably just take a single item, or a single painting. But he won't. Ask for help with Sword Cultivator's vengeance. He'll get revenge himself. Jiang Tianhan left, offering half the Jiang family's profits as compensation. As an apology, he left. Next, the Kyu family announced their total opposition to the family. But the Kyuubi didn't care about any of that. He held his wooden sword and strode toward the Yan hiding in the corner. Do you have the guts to decide this with a duel? His voice wasn't loud, but it almost suffocated the Yan. The Kyuubi, don't push me too far. The Ling couldn't sit still any longer, suddenly unleashing nearly peak Purple Palace power. A palm strike shot at the Kyuubi. If you show no mercy, then you can stay down. The Qing scoffed coldly. Her sword was drawn. In an instant, she was fighting the Lin. They became opponents. The hall became a battlefield. But the Kyuubi walked around as if strolling through his own garden. One hand behind his back, he stepped forward. Step 1.
His sword's aura surged like a tide,
Making the Yan's knees shake. Step 2, sword energy everywhere. The hall's floor tiles shattered, piece by piece. Step 3, the Kyuubi raised his wooden sword. The Yan, when you plotted against me? Did you ever think about today? The Yan's expression was fierce and ruthless. He desperately unleashed wave after wave of palm strikes. The Kyuubi, you've only just reached the Purple Mansion realm. I'm going all out against you. But the Kyuubi didn't even spare the palm strikes a look. On the wooden sword, a thread of dark demonic energy rose once again. That's the Heavenly Demon 9 sword technique you taught him. He only used the first sword, but the life-devouring demonic power already locked onto the Yan's soul. It's over. The wooden sword sliced through. All of the Yan's palm strikes shattered instantly. That ordinary-looking wooden sword swept right across his neck. The Yan immediately lost his combat strength, collapsed to the ground. The Lin, locked in battle with the Qing, let out a miserable scream. But the Kyuubi, I want you to pay with your life. He was acting insane, burning his core essence recklessly, trying to drag the Kyuubi down with him. But just then, an incredibly terrifying shadow of a sword that seemed to freeze time and space suddenly flashed faintly from the Kyuubi's wooden sword. That's the life-saving divine thought you left on the wooden sword. Just that wisp of aura made the Ling freeze instantly. He was drenched in sweat, his eyes filled with endless terror. This power surpasses the 5 treasures. Whose sword is this, anyway? The Kyuubi didn't give him any chance. Taking advantage of the Ling's distraction, he struck a vital spot with one sword. The chaos in the family was quelled. Kyuubi and the Qing looked at the devastation all around, feeling a bit sentimental. What are you planning to do next? The Kyuubi put away his wooden sword, looking up to the northern sky.
His gaze was icy.
Back to Keoting. Since Jiang Chan is with the Sunset Imperial Forces, Then the 4 Imperial Academies exchange tournament in a month will be the time I defeat him. But before that, I want to go back to see my master and that odd new tenant. Meanwhile, at the top of Chaoting Mountain, you're squatting on the ground, holding a skewer of freshly roasted chicken wings, casually chatting with Hong Ying.
Hey, Xiao Hong.
When you were the empress in a past life, didn't you stash away some private savings or something? Our Chaoting is about to run out of food. Hong Ying glared at you coldly. Call me Hong Ying, and the divine treasures I used back then. In this remote place, you won't ever find them. You pouted Tisk. Wait till Kayubai returns. Let him bring you some special goods. Judging by the days, that guy should be back soon. You casually tore off a piece of chicken wing and tossed it to the red-feathered bird. But it looks like more trouble is coming our way. You squint your eyes, gazing toward the end of the void, a playful smirk on your lips. Meanwhile, the Yan's palm strikes were as fragile as paper before the Kayubai's spatial slicing sword aura. Fragile like paper? With a puff, the Yan's body shuddered violently and he was thrown back. His face turned deathly pale, seeing his own son powerless to fight back. The Ling acted as if possessed. He roared furiously at the wavering elders. What are you all standing there for? This kid has become a grave threat. Join forces and suppress him immediately. The elders exchanged nervous glances, inner turmoil battling in their hearts. Just then, a 6th elder, who had a past grudge with the Kayubai, grit his teeth and attacked ruthlessly. That guy was arrogant beyond reason. The overwhelming aura of a purple mansion peak erupted. A fierce and merciless iron fist swung straight at the Kayubai's back. The Kayubai didn't even turn around.
He flicked his sword behind him.
On the wooden sword, black demonic energy swirled upward, an aura that commanded all beings to submit. Instantly enveloped the entire the family. Heavenly Demon 9 swords. The Yan screamed in terror, his eyes filled with fear. Not even Huo Qingming could withstand this terrifying sword technique. Back then, the Kayubai was only at the golden core stage. Now he's entered the purple mansion realm. How terrifying will the sword's power be? 6th elder, be careful. But the 6th elder ignored it, filled with disdain. Just a mere beginner of purple mansion realm. No matter how strong the sword technique, what can he really do to me? That thought was his last in this life. First sword, the Kayubai whispered softly. Billowing demonic energy gathered into one sword. The 6th elder's iron fist collided fiercely with that ordinary-looking wooden sword. A thunderous explosion echoed, with a loud boom. The 6th elder's protective aura shattered instantly. His entire arm was turned into countless points of light by the black sword aura. The Kayubai pressed forward, as the 6th elder stared in terror and despair. The wooden sword lightly sliced across his chest. Demonic energy invades the body. The meridians and danshan in his body were instantly crushed by the energy. The 6th elder's eyes widened. He fell straight down, never to stand again. One sword strike defeats the peak of the purple mansion realm. The whole audience gasped. Those elders who were about to make a move instantly extinguished all their thoughts. They lowered their heads, not daring to look at the Kayubai again. The Qing also seized the moment the Ling lost focus. With one sword strike, a deep wound was left on his arm. The overall situation is settled. The Kayubai held the wooden sword and walked step by step toward the pale-faced the Yan. You can't touch him. I am your cousin. The Kayubai remained unmoved. The sword slashed down. Just then, an old figure appeared before the Kayubai like a ghost.
He stretched out 2 thin fingers
And actually caught it steadily. The wooden sword wrapped in overwhelming demonic energy. Enough trouble. You can't touch him. The Kayubai's pupils shrank. The spiritual power in his body surged frantically. The 3rd sword of the 9 heavenly demon swords. Demonic energy several times stronger than before erupted. Yet it still couldn't move those 2 fingers even an inch. The old man gave a gentle push. An unmatched force struck. The Kayubai felt like he was hit by lightning. His whole body was sent flying back. The Qing hurried to support him. With a solemn face, he bowed to the old man and said, Ancestor. Everyone in the family bowed in greeting. Ancestor of the family. Ancestor. The strongest man of the family, who existed only in legends, has come out of seclusion. His cloudy gaze fell upon the Cayubai. He said calmly, "You have already dealt with an elder. Your anger should have subsided by now. Let it end here." The Cayubai wiped the golden blood from the corner of his mouth. He sneered. "Is he allowed to target me with others? But I'm not allowed to seek revenge. Consider the bigger picture." The ancestors' words held a deeper meaning. "I know your talent, strength, and character far surpass the Yan's. You are the perfect heir to the family head. But unfortunately, you have offended the Sunset Territory Lord's forces. For the sake of the family, we can only wrong you. Then what if I insist on dealing with him today?" The ancestors' cloudy eyes suddenly snapped open. A pressure capable of crushing heaven and earth swept out. Disobedient geniuses. Useless to keep. The Qing exhausted all his strength to stand in front of the Cayubai. He roared, "Cayubai, run, go." The ancestor snorted coldly. Releasing a tiger back to the mountains would only lead to endless trouble. With that, his figure blurred. He struck a palm toward the Cayubai. He intended to suppress this great threat on the spot. At this life and death moment, in the Cayubai's hand, a Forsythia longsword suddenly appeared. The Qingyun sword, the sword gifted by his master. What kind of sword is this? The ancestor retreated violently. For the first time, horror appeared in his eyes. From that sword, he felt a fear that pierced his soul. How can a sword possess its own sword intent? The Cayubai didn't answer. He held the sword with both hands, using all his strength. He slowly pulled the Qingyun sword out by 1 inch. Just 1 inch. A supreme sword intent that seemed able to split heaven and earth. Soared into the sky. The entire Tianyuan city was enveloped by this sharp aura. The Cayubai felt like his body was about to be burst by this sword intent, but he still gritted his teeth and aimed this power at the ancestor. That world-destroying palm strike. Boom! The sword intent collided with the palm print. The family manor was instantly turned into ruins. The ancestor's full-strength blow was actually disintegrated inch by inch. He spread his hands, barely blocking the aftermath of the sword intent. His face was filled with shock. Now is the time. The Cayubai's figure appeared beside the Yan like a ghost. Under his terrified and desperate gaze, one finger pointed out. It struck the center of his forehead. The Yan was completely defeated. By the time the family ancestor recovered, the Cayubai had long disappeared without a trace. He looked at the fallen Yan, his face dark as water. In the end, he could only announce that the Lin would take over as the family head. Meanwhile, the Cayubai was sitting cross-legged in a cave, recovering, pulling it out by only 1 inch. The backlash of the Qingyun sword was so immense. He had no doubt that if this sword were fully unsheathed, even the ancestor wouldn't be able to block a single strike. But his own body would also crumble on the spot. The Sunset Territory Lord's force. The Cayubai clenched his fists. Instead of being discouraged, a burning battle intent ignited in his eyes. The sword intent in his body surged explosively, breaking through the shackles. It became more refined and resolute. Sword heart clarity, moving forward without hesitation. Sword master realm achieved. Master, I wonder if you'll be lonely on the mountain by yourself. Your disciple will be back soon. At the same time, in the thatched cottage, Hongying, this former founding empress had a dark face, carrying a bowl of freshly stewed fish soup. She placed it heavily in front of you. Now, can you give me some guidance? In exchange for your seemingly casual, yet always pinpointed guidance. She had been your cook for half a month, from the initial dark cuisine to the fish soup that was finally edible. The Empress's patience was nearly exhausted. You took a slow sip, nodding. Not bad. Much better than yesterday's lump of charcoal. Hongying urged impatiently. Hurry and teach me. No rush. Wait until I finish my meal. You began to chew slowly. Drinking a bowl of soup felt like an eternity. Hongying sat opposite you. From being furious at the start, gradually she became dazed. Yes, when did she become so impetuous? Just waiting for the duration of a meal caused such a stir in her state of mind. The path of cultivation is rooted in a calm mind. She was so desperate to recover her strength that she neglected the most fundamental thing. Thinking of this, Hong Ying suddenly saw the light. She immediately closed her eyes and sat down, adjusting her mind and spirit. After you finished eating, you looked at the meditating Hong Ying and shrugged. You cleared the dishes yourself. This sitting lasted for 5 days. On the 5th day, Hong Ying suddenly opened her eyes. A powerful aura soared into the sky. Success came naturally. Breaking through to the water-intent realm, she stood up. To you, who had just walked out of the thatched hut, she gave a solemn bow. Thank you for the guidance. You were stunned. What did I guide you on? Hong Ying smiled slightly, thinking she had seen through everything. You saw long ago that there was a problem with my state of mind. That's why you intentionally made me cook and use slow eating to temper my character, allowing me to overcome my inner demons myself, right? No, I didn't. Don't talk nonsense. I was simply too lazy to cook. Seeing you remain silent, Hong Ying became even more certain of her guess. A flash of admiration appeared in her eyes. Otherwise, with your cultivation, you would have long ago achieved Anidia. There's no need for you to eat my ordinary cooking every meal. When it came to the last sentence, even someone as proud as the Empress, Hong Ying's cheeks couldn't help but flush slightly. You were completely stunned. What's going on? Why are all these people around me so good at letting their imagination run wild? I was really just too lazy to cook, that's all. Just as you were complaining inwardly, Hong Ying took a deep breath and made a shocking move. She straightened her robe, knelt down on both knees, and gave you a solemn bow. Her voice was clear and firm. There's no order in learning. The wise are teachers. Please, master, accept me as your disciple. But I didn't even do anything. How did he end up convincing himself? I'm so confused right now. Ding. Congratulations, host, you've completed a high difficulty disciple receiving task. You've earned a reward. Spear Dao Principle. My Dao level divine art, the Samsara Spear. A recipe for the 9-turn rebirth pill. Gained 2,000 years of cultivation. Damn, I thought winning over the former empress would be a long, drawn-out struggle. But before I could even come up with a plan, she surrendered with a single sword stroke. Speaking of the Caillou Bai, when he returned to the Kangdao Academy, he was already a prominent figure. That spectacular battle at the Academy tournament made everyone remember. This elegant man in white from Chaoting. Senior Brother Yi is back. Why do I feel like Senior Brother Yi's aura is even more unfathomable now? It's only been a few days. Could he have broken through again? The Caillou Bai greeted everyone with a smile, but was secretly thinking sigh. When will Master accept another junior disciple or sister? Otherwise, with just me, it always feels a little lonely. As he was thinking, a familiar disciple came over and mysteriously said, Senior Brother the... I just saw Elder Lu bringing an absolutely stunning fairy-like woman to register something with the dean. The Caillou Bai instantly became alert. He subconsciously asked, Register what? I think she's Elder Lu's new disciple. Before he finished speaking, the Caillou Bai had already turned into a flash of sword light and vanished from sight. Back at Ko Ting, with one glance, he immediately spotted the red-clad beauty, as if she had walked out of a painting, arranging plates of steaming, fragrant dishes right in front of you. There's really a junior sister now. He stepped forward, about to greet you properly, but without even looking up, you just said, So, you're back. The Caillou Bai froze on the spot, his face full of confusion. Did I just get snubbed? When he saw your odd expression, he quickly explained, I meant you handled things so fast. That finally put the Caillou Bai at ease. He stepped forward and bowed deeply, and recounted the family's affairs in detail. You listened and picked up a dish, saying slowly, the Lord of Sunset Domain, huh? I've heard Chen Shu mention them. They really are much stronger than our southern domain. But I'll say it again. This is your grudge. I won't interfere. You defeat the small ones, then the big ones show up. I'm not getting involved in that mess. Honestly, the Caillou Bai wasn't disappointed at all. Instead, he smiled and said, Understood, Master. I wouldn't ask for your help anyway. The Lord of Sunset Domain's power just happens to be a grindstone for my sword. Hong Ying nodded and said, Senior Brother's right. On the martial path, if you always rely on external help, your heart will never be steady, and it'll be hard to reach the peak. At that moment, he was also secretly sizing up the Cayubai, and was secretly astonished. What a sword genius. So young yet already a sword master. His skills and constitution are both top-notch. His talent isn't inferior to mine. No wonder all of Master's disciples are truly exceptional. You smiled and introduced them? Cayubai, this is your junior sister. Hong Ying, the Cayubai immediately put on the posture of a senior brother, smiled and said, junior sister is absolutely right. From now on, if anything happens outside, your senior brother will look out for you. Hong Ying nodded with a strange expression. Thanks, senior brother. You added with a sigh. Your junior sister is now at the water. In 10th realm level, it's not clear who's protecting whom. The Cayubai's smile froze instantly. Water in 10th realm? Isn't that 2 major levels higher than me? He suddenly felt an invisible pressure coming right at him. He cupped his fists and said, Master, I've gained a lot from this trip, so I'll be going into seclusion to consolidate my cultivation. With that, he darted quickly into his thatched hut. You looked at his hasty retreat, and couldn't help but laugh. Seeing this, Hong Ying also prepared to go cultivate. But you stopped her. Don't rush. As your master, I'm always fair when accepting disciples. Back then, I gave your senior brother a creation pill and a Qingyun sword. Now that you're officially a disciple, naturally you get your welcome gifts too. But Hong Ying just smiled and said, Master, I really don't need them. He is the reincarnation of the Empress. He carries the foundation of an entire empire with him. So why worry about cultivation resources? He was just about to get some divine pills and elixirs to show some filial piety to his seemingly poor master. But with a mere flick of your finger, a pill flew into his hand. The pill was perfectly round. On its surface were mysterious patterns of samsara flowing. This is from your 9 revolutions reincarnation art. You've reached your 9th life. This pill can help you perfectly merge the Tao fruit from all 9 lives. Boom! Hong Ying felt as if struck by lightning. His expression changed dramatically. His cultivation art was extremely secretive, yet his master saw through it at a glance. What was even more terrifying was that in this world, only reincarnation pills that fuse 6 auras into Tao fruit exist. But Master's pill can perfectly fuse all into one. That's a little too humble. You stroke your chin and continue. Come here. Hong Ying walked up dumbfounded. You extend a finger and tap him between the eyebrows. In an instant, a vast ocean of information flooded into his consciousness. Samsara spear technique. Use the spear to enter the true path of reincarnation. This spear art actually matches his cultivation perfectly. It felt as if they were always meant to be one. You withdraw your finger. After thinking, you say reading theory is too slow. Let me demonstrate it for you. Watch closely, you say. You keep your word and make a move. Heaven and earth spiritual energy converges into a spear. Hong Ying's beautiful eyes widened. Wasn't Master a sword cultivator? Why did he get the spear before figuring it out? But the spear in your hand had already thrust forward. The spear moved like a dragon. Wings of samsara spread. There was no earth-shaking sound, but a 1,000-foot peak in the distance silently crumbled to dust. That power went beyond the intent of the spear, belonging to a higher dimension of spear Tao. Even Hong Ying, the former great emperor, felt a wave of terror and suffocation. Sword Tao reaches divine heights. So does spear Tao. Just how many paths has Master mastered? Demonstration over. You casually dismissed the spear. The spear yawned. All right, go practice on your own. I'm taking a nap. Hong Ying stood frozen, unable to calm down for a long time. The Tao Jade left by Master's strike instantly put him in a state of enlightenment. 5 days later, you were lying on a chair sighing. Both of those guys are cultivating. No one's left to cook for me. Looks like I need to find another disciple. Just as you finish speaking, 2 auras erupt at the same time. Hong Ying stands tall, spear in hand, wielding a trick of the samsara spear technique, shaking the void. The Cayubai also walks out of the hut, his wooden sword brisk, his sword intent even sharper and more focused than before. Junior sister, please advise. The Cayubai is full of fighting spirit. He thrusts his sword. Senior brother, please. Hong Ying's spear trembles and meets him head-on. Both suppress their cultivation realm. and duel purely with sword and spear intent. For a while atop the cliff, sword energy and spear force intertwined in the air. Yet not a single leaf on the willow tree was harmed. Stop Yu promptly called an end to the two belligerent disciples. Han Ying seized the opportunity and swallowed the 9 revolutions return pill. Han Ying nodded, sat down cross-legged, took the pill, and in a flash, waves of reincarnation power shot from his body to the sky, as if communicating with the laws of the universe. The willow branches swayed gently and let out a sigh. Too bad the heavenly Tao of this world has collapsed.
Its laws incomplete.
Even with divine pills, they won't be triggered. The laws of reincarnation can never be fully inherited. You paused at those words. Isn't the power of rules from the system already there? Hosts can invoke them anytime. This system carries advanced dimensional powers of law. Receiving a clear answer, you waved your hand casually.
Buzz.
A supreme power, seemingly above all things, instantly enveloped the whole cottage. The willow tree trembled violently. It was the power of higher dimensional laws. The birds on the phoenix tree bathed in that power, and suddenly ignited in phoenix flames. Falling into enlightenment, the azure cloud sword in front of the Kayubai buzzed intensely, as the Tao on the sword began to resonate with his own sword intent, and the power of reincarnation within Han Ying, like a child finding its mother, rushed madly toward the power of law to merge with it. Boom! Countless illusory spirits streaked across the sky like meteors, merging one after another into Han Ying's body. His aura soared higher and higher, reaching the pinnacle of the water enlightenment middle and late stages.
His 9 Tao fruits perfectly became one.
Han Ying opened his eyes, bowed respectfully to you, his eyes blazing with fanaticism and reverence. Thank you, Master, for remaking me. You wave your hand. Since that's the case, here's a job for you. Please instruct me, Master. I'll give my life if I must. You point toward the kitchen and say with a smile, "Go make dinner. I'm hungry." Just then, Qin Tianan appears suddenly. He looks at the greatly changed the Kayubai and the utterly unreadable woman in red, feeling deeply shocked. Where in the world did Changsheng find these two monsters? Changshan Qin Tianan got straight to the point, offering a large sum of money. There's a Crimson Abyss trial secret realm in Southern Isle. Only up to Purple Mansion realm cultivators may enter. It's an excellent trial for your 2 disciples. Before you could answer, both Han Ying and the Kayubai were instantly filled with fighting spirit. I'll go, they both spoke in unison. Qin Tianan nodded with satisfaction. All right, Changshan, you take them there tomorrow. You immediately shook your head like a rattle. I don't know the way. Qin Tianan truly can't do anything with you. He glared at you in annoyance, then turned to leave saying, I'll have the elder of the sword hall pick you up tomorrow. After Qin Tianan was gone, Han Ying looked at you, her cool eyes carrying a touch of searching. Master, aren't you going to ask why I want to go? You ask in surprise. Why should I ask? If you want to go, I'm sure you have your reason. Han Ying gracefully tapped her hand, gaze lifting toward the horizon, suddenly filled with ancient sorrow, within Crimson Abyss. 9 lifetimes have passed. I want to see if he's still there. You were silent at her words. After 9 lives, losing old friends is only natural, especially in the dangerous, unpredictable Crimson Abyss secret realm. Go. The mood turned heavy for a while. Seeing this, the Kayubai was about to sneak back to his room to cultivate, when you stopped him with a word. Where are you going? Go make dinner for your master. Meanwhile, dangerous intent was already rising in the dark. At the Kiyu family estate, the head of the household spoke coldly. The Kayubai will definitely participate in the Crimson Abyss trial. Send word to Kiyu Li Bei. Make sure to defeat him inside the secret realm. Meanwhile, far away in the northern region at sunset, deep within the Domain Lord's forces and Pear Garden, Jiang Chan wore regal robes, wearing a phoenix hairpin, sitting alone in the courtyard. When she heard that the Kayubai was still standing and had grown much stronger, a complex look that no one noticed flashed in her eyes. There was fear and a touch of relief. Just then, a dignified young man opened the door and walked in. It was none other than the young master of the sect, Huang Tianming. Jiang Chan, the young lady, stood up and paid her respects. Huang Tianming smiled and helped her up. His tone was familiar. We're about to get married soon. There's no need to be so formal. Jiang Chan lowered her eyelids. With no joy in her eyes, Huang Tiaming noticed it. But he let go indifferently and changed the subject. That the Cayubai will join the Southern Region's Fool's Trial. Jiang Chan suddenly looked up. We failed to get rid of him last time. Huang Tianming smiled. This time I'll send people over to make sure nothing goes wrong. Jiang Chan's lips moved slightly, but in the end she chose to remain silent. He knew that saying anything more at this moment would only bring even greater disaster to the Cayubai. Huang Tianming sighed, seemingly helpless. I know you can't let him go, but you have to remember, you'll be the lady of the Imperial Lord someday. No potential threat can be allowed to live. He doesn't need his heart.
He only needs the man himself.
And everything he stands for. In the face of power, feelings are the cheapest thing. In the face of power, feelings are the cheapest thing. After Huang Tianming left, a dark shadow silently knelt behind him. Go to Qian and deal with the Cayubai. Huang Tianming's voice turned cold. Killing intent fully revealed. Contact the shadow guards as well. Have them send people too. I don't want any accidents. The shadow was shocked. Why does young master need to use the shadow guards? The shadow guards are the most mysterious assassins in the northern region. A group of fearless experts, with a task success rate as high as 99%. Their only failure was an attempt to assassinate the current Jade Lord, a terrifying existence ranked 4th on the Jade list. After that mission, the Shadow Guards were severely weakened and were forced to become part of the Jade Lord's power. Huang Tianming smiled, cutting off the future threat forever. The next day, the Xion trial began. The Sword Hall Elder rode his sword over and picked up the Cayubai and Hong Ying. On the way, he kept persuading Cayubai. You'll have no future staying with that lazy guy. Join my sword hole. All the best resources will be yours. The Cayubai could only give a wry smile and politely refuse. As for the sword hall's resources, can you give me the primordial sword scripture and the Qingyun sword? The trial entrance was packed with people. Geniuses from all sides gathered. Already broke through to Purple Mansion realm. The new red robe arrived. Eagerness for battle. After the trial, let's have another match. The Cayubai accepted with a smile. Hong Ying, beside him, teased, Senior brother, you're pretty popular. As soon as she finished speaking, a look full of killing intent shot over. The vengeful genius, Qiu Lebei, was staring. The Cayubai made a provocative gesture. Someone wants to deal with Hong Ying. With a cold look, want me to help you take care of them. The Cayubai smiled helplessly. How is this junior sister even fiercer than me? No worries, I'll avenge myself. At that moment, dragon roars shook the sky. A massive ship pulled by 2 flood dragons broke through the sky. It was the imperial carriage of the Tianyuan dynasty. Several figures flew down. The one in the fancy robe leading the group was Prince Tianming, the 6th prince. After exchanging pleasantries with the academy elder, his gaze suddenly turned to the Cayubai. He spoke clearly, I believe. This is the former genius of Tianyuan City. The Cayubai, right? Heard that Cayubai's talent has returned. Not only did he defeat the Qiu family heir with 1 strike, but also defeated his cousin the Yan in front of his own ancestor. Defeated his cousin the Yan. Truly a remarkable young man. Admirable. With every word he spoke, the looks from those around grew more hostile. This was killing with flattery. Every word was a blade, instantly pushing the Cayubai into the spotlight. In the eyes of the Qiu family members, killing intent was boiling over. Senior brother, have you offended him before? Hong Ying teased. The Cayubai shook his head.
He'd never seen this man before.
But in the next moment, he understood. Several more figures descended from the ship. They wore golden armor, with a blazing sun on the helmets. Totem, the people of the Sunset Domain's Lord faction. Huo Qingming and the others gasped in shock. The Cayubai instantly understood. A surge of anger welled up inside. Jiang Chan, if I don't fall, your heart won't be at peace. Is that so? Killing intent flashed in Hong Ying's eyes too. Locals are your target too? The Sunset Domain faction is here. 4 golden armored warriors were all at the peak of the Purple Mansion realm. Their bodies radiated the killing energy, tempered in the energy sea of Lion Mountain. Behind them, 3 black-clad figures with strange auras followed. They were assassins from the Shadow Guard. The leading golden-armored warrior glanced around.
He sneered, saying, according to the agreement,
We, representatives of the Sunset Domain, have borrowed 7 spots from the Tianyuan dynasty to participate in the trial. We also want to see how capable you Blue Jade cultivators really are. Let's see what you're made of. What did you say? The Blue Jade crowd was instantly infuriated. Let me take you on. An elite from the Mingyang sect couldn't hold back. He was the first to charge forward. He was also at the peak of the Purple Mansion realm.
He unleashed a powerful palm strike.
Burning heaven, boiling seas. His power was astonishing. Well done, Blue Jade. Everyone cheered, yet the Kyubai secretly shook his head. The intensity of the golden-armored warrior's killing aura was nothing like the pampered ones from the greenhouse. Sure enough, faced with the overwhelming flames, the golden-armored warrior didn't dodge. He merely pointed with a finger. Petty tricks. His killing intent refined to the extreme, instantly pierced through the palm's imprint. Immediately after, he dashed forward. That murderous intent crushed the Mingyang sect elite like a mountain. The latter's composure collapsed in an instant. All he saw was terror. He couldn't even summon the will to resist. Weakling, the golden-armored warrior grinned viciously. He threw a punch. A crunching sound of breaking ribs was clearly heard. The Mingyang sect elite spewed golden sparks from his mouth and flew backward like a snapped kite. He was instantly incapacitated. One move to instantly defeat a peerless brat. Ga, an elder from the Mingyang sect's eyes widened in rage. His Kisi realm pressure erupted. He struck at the golden-armored warrior with a palm. But the 4 golden-armored warriors showed no fear. They instantly formed a battle array. 4 streams of killing aura intertwined and converged. And right in front of them, they created a sea of viscous energy. All 4 punched at once. The energy sea surged, transforming into a massive blood-colored fist that blotted out the sky. It clashed head-on with the elder's palm imprint. Boom! The Mingyang sect elder's face changed drastically. He felt he wasn't facing 4 juniors, but a bloodthirsty god from the depths of hell. That killing aura could even erode his spirit. In the instant, his resolve faltered. The outcome was decided. The blood-colored giant fist devoured his palm imprint in an instant and swept him off his feet, accompanied by a blood-curdling scream. A mighty Kisi realm expert was actually worn down in the energy sea by 4 juniors at the peak of Purple Mansion, completely annihilated. The entire scene fell silent. The faces of all the southern cultivators were filled with shock and humiliation. For the first time, they truly realized, between themselves and the true prodigies of the northern regions, there was a massive gap. Watching that Mingyang sect elder meet the same fate as their genius disciple, completely erased, the Literary Institute's elder could no longer stand by. He furrowed his brows and rebuked in a deep voice, "You've gone too far." This was supposed to be a friendly contest, and you went all out. With that, he uttered a true word, shattering demonic energy. A surge of righteous energy transformed into a sound wave and instantly dispelled the sea of energy. You southern cultivators only know how to bully the weak with your strength. Those 4 from the Sunset Domain retreated in exhaustion from the force, but their faces were full of ridicule and unwillingness. Among peers, it's all about the outcome. Victory or defeat is fate. If we're not as skilled and end up losing here, the domain power has no complaints. But if the seniors intervene, I fear that one day the Iron Cavalry of our Sunset Domain will crush your entire southern region. A blatant threat, yet no one dared object, for the fists of the Sunset Domain carried more weight. Their domain lord was in fact the terrifying 4th ranked in the 4 domains and 5 rankings. Even the Literary Institute's elder could only snort coldly, fold his sleeves, and stand aside. In the end, the wounded Mingyang sect could only leave in defeat. The farce was over. The elder of Tianyuan dynasty announced the opening of the Crimson Abyss secret realm. Several Water Dao experts began a joint spell. Within the spatial rift ahead, a stretch of blood-red earth slowly emerged. At the far end of that land, prison towers rose sky-high from the ground. Countless skeletons sat upright within, emitting a terrifying oppressive aura. Only those of the Purple Mansion and below were allowed to enter for 1 month. Remember, as the Literary Institute's elder gave the order, Countless prodigies turned into streaks of light and poured in. Steelies for the imprisoned, the sixth Prince Tiaming and Sunset Domain's forces. All glanced intently at the Cayubai before entering. Each looked deeply at the Cayubai, with killing intentions undisguised. Looks like you have plenty of enemies, senior brother. Han Ying laughed. The Cayubai helplessly shrugged. A mediocre man is never envied. All right, let's head in too. We have to return with some fortune for our master. Han Ying twitched the corner of his mouth. With master's stubborn personality, I doubt he'd care about that. Meanwhile, while you were sunbathing on a lounge chair in the thatched cottage, your eyes suddenly snapped open. You gazed toward the east. Why do I feel a sense of dread? It doesn't seem to come from myself, but is related to someone close to me. There's a karmic connection, and the only ones in the Crimson Abyss secret realm are your two disciples. Could they be in danger? You're hardly cold-blooded. After all, they still have to cook for me. Thinking that, your figure vanished from where you sat. Inside the Crimson Abyss secret realm, Han Ying handed over a jade pendant carved with a phoenix to the Cayubai. Senior brother, this is a defensive formation. It can block a full strike from someone on the 4 domains and 5 rankings. If things get critical, crush it. I have other matters to attend to. Let's part ways here.
Take care. After saying that,
He turned into a streak of red light and flew far into the distance. The Cayubai put away the jade pendant, took a deep breath, and began exploring alone this wasteland bound by energy. Suddenly, his heavenly demon sword energy burst out uncontrollably and pointed in one direction, as if summoning him. It's related to the 9 swords of the heavenly demon. The Cayubai was stirred. He followed the direction of the sword energy. Gradually, the blood-red earth turned into pure darkness. A massive black cage that reached the sky appeared before him. Golden chains coiled around it like giant pythons, emitting a terrifying sealing power. In the center of the cage sat a skeleton, wreathed in familiar black sword energy. Just as he approached, the black aura surged. The skeleton disappeared, replaced by a white-robed man wielding a pitch-black demon sword. You've cultivated the 9 swords of the heavenly demon. Yes, Junior greets you. Then you're half a successor of mine. The white-robed man's voice echoed faintly. But my inheritance is not for the fickle-hearted. You must pass my test. Fail, and you'll remain here forever. The moment the words fell, the man pointed with a finger, and the scenery changed instantly. The Cayubai found himself in an endless wilderness. Up ahead is a mass of darkness, an endless sea of faceless people. They each hold broken swords, surging toward him like a swarm of locusts. There is only one challenge: defeat them. Though the Cayubai was confused, he still charged into the crowd with his sword. Sword energy slashed everywhere. Energy burst in all directions, but the faceless ones seemed endless. Just as one group was taken care of, another would immediately fill the gap. They were fearless, unafraid of death. Day after day passed. 4 days passed, or perhaps even more. The Cayubai was now glowing green all over. His sword movements had become mechanical, numb. The faceless crowd showed no signs of thinning. Gradually, in his numb eyes, a hint of battle frenzy started to appear. All of you fall before me. He began to laugh maniacally in silence. His sword aura grew more wild and brutal. The man in white, watching secretly, shook his head in disappointment. Still no good? In the end, he fell into slaughter. He was taken over by demonic intent. Just as the man was about to end the trial, an unexpected change occurred. Within the Cayubai's crazed gaze, a trace of clarity returned. A swordsman must always move forward, but must never become a killing machine. His master's teachings. My sword path operates at full force. A righteous aura washed away the wild demonic energy in his meridians. Within endless killing and fog, he broke through right there on the spot. Reached the mid-stage of the Purple Mansion realm. Sword heart was crystal clear. And that mysterious cultivation method, the man in white, showed a look of approval for the first time. Not bad, a promising talent. All right, you've passed. As the man's words fell, the faceless crowd instantly disappeared. A giant cage reappeared in front of them. The man said with satisfaction, since you now possess sword heart clarity, I will teach you the last 5 forms of the heavenly demon 9 swords. The Kyubai scratched his head, a bit embarrassed. Senior, I've already mastered the last 5 forms. The man in white was stunned. The sword manual has always been with me.
It's never left my possession.
Where did you learn them? The Kyubai looked respectful. It was my master. He deduced the last 5 forms on his own and taught them to me. Impossible! The man in white was shocked. He then turned into a wisp of black smoke and entered the Kyubai's forehead, temporarily took control of his body. For a moment, the heavenly demon's sword energy filled the air, destroying everything. Moments later, the man in white reappeared, completely dumbfounded. How could this be? He muttered to himself. This is no longer just perfected, but has completely transcended. Its power, concept, and even side effects are all flawless. In a world where the heavenly Tao has collapsed, how could someone like this be born? Could your master be an ancient powerhouse reborn? The Kyubai thought for a moment and answered seriously, probably not. My master looks quite young. He still needs to eat every day. Pretty lazy too, said the man in white, to deduce the heavenly demon 9 swords to such a level. Shouldn't he be a world-class sword saint who slays gods and demons, while also cutting down evil spirits? And being too lazy to make his own meals, what kind of thing is that? The man in white shook his head in resignation. He thought to himself, this gift of inheritance has really been full of twists and turns. Lost all my dignity. With a master like yours, I really don't know what to give you.
He sighed. The way of the sword is all within the heavenly demon 9 swords.
Now you've got an even more perfected version. What else do I have to teach? Wait, the man in white's eyes lit up.
He raised his black longsword.
Since you don't need sword techniques, then let me gift this sword to you. The Kyubai looked at the sword. Its entire blade pitch black. No wind, no evil yet. Dark demonic energy swirled around it, emitting a spiritual power even stronger than the wind. The man in white lovingly stroked the blade and proudly said, this sword's name is Dark Demon Heaven Rank, a top-tier treasured weapon. If not for my own sword spirit, it would have long since become a spiritual weapon. A treasure like this, even your master couldn't offer one up, right? The Kyubai took the Dark Demon sword, marveling in his heart. This sword perfectly complements the 9 heavenly demon swords, enough to increase his combat power by 30 to 40%. But seeing the slight look of difficulty on the Kyubai's face, the white-robed man's heart skipped a beat. He asked cautiously, your master couldn't have given you something better, right? After a moment of hesitation, the Kyubai took out the Kingyun sword. The aura of the Taoist laws flowing on the sword made even this ancient sword saint feel a surge of palpitations. He simply couldn't see through it. He took a deep breath, waved his hand, and said in a desolate tone, fine, take your sword. You may all leave. The Kyubai gave the man a deep bow and turned to depart, watching his retreating figure. The white-robed man let out a long sigh. What a pity to be born in an era where the heavenly Tao has collapsed. As he finished speaking, the black mist around him dissipated, and he turned back into a skeleton once more, sitting in meditation at the center of the cage. On the other side, Hong Ying had gone deep into the heart of the crimson abyss. The cages here were all golden, and inside, they were wound with soul-locking chains covered in suppression runes, suppressing extremely terrifying existences. She stopped in front of the most heavily guarded cage, fury burning in her beautiful eyes. They actually dared to suppress you in such a manner. Your Majesty, is that you? From within the cage, a weak voice came, like a flickering candle in the wind. It's me! That's wonderful! The voice carried wild joy. Your Majesty, did your 9-cycle reincarnation art succeed? I had help from a benefactor. Hong Ying thought of you. There is actually someone in this realm who can help your Majesty. Could it be an old monk from the west? Or a powerhouse from the demon realm? Neither. Hong Ying shook her head.
He is now my master, inside the soul-locking chains.
The voice stopped abruptly. It was a long time before he spoke in disbelief. After the collapse of the heavenly Tao, there is actually someone qualified to be your Majesty's master? Hong Ying didn't explain much, and said solemnly, my purpose for coming this time is to finalize the ritual. After I get out, I will reshape your physical body. and return your freedom to you. The soul-locking chains began to tremble violently, and the voice became impassioned. Back then, I, of the Nine Heavens Division, followed your majesty in battle. Though defeated, I have no regrets. We have always believed that your majesty would eventually return to lead us to fight across the heavens again. Yun Ce of the Nine Heavens Division pays his respects to your majesty. I am willing to fight until the end, to help your majesty reach the peak once more. A flash of emotion moved Hong Ying's eyes. Good. Once my strength returns to its peak, I will rescue you from this imprisonment. The glory of this empress is the glory of you all. Outside the secret realm, the atmosphere was tense and volatile. The leader of the Sunset Domain Lord's forces, a man named Jiang Shui, was at the peak of intent realization. A powerhouse, he swept a contemptuous gaze over the wary people of the southern region. You want to deal with me? Have you considered the consequences of my Asura Iron Cavalry trampling the southern region? The crowd was furious but dared not speak. The elders of the Hidden Dao Academy took the stance that it was none of their business, staying out of the conflict. Seeing this, Jiang Shui became even more disdainful. He even hoped in his heart that these southern region cultivators would attack, giving him a justified excuse to act. In another part of the secret realm, the Kaiyubai had been completely surrounded. The Kaiyubai, you coward. I finally found you. Qiu Libei grinned savagely. Behind him were those 4 gold-armored warriors of the Sunset Domain Lord's forces, people of the Sunset Domain Lord. The Kaiyubai's brow furrowed slightly. What he was truly wary of were those black-clad assassins who had vanished without a trace. Enough talk. Give me your life. Qiu Libei struck first. Throwing a punch, the Kaiyubai responded with a casual sword strike. Sharp sword key pierced through Qiu Libei's fist, sending him reeling back with his aura withered. Weakling. A gold-armored warrior shouted coldly. The 4 of them formed a formation simultaneously, and a monstrous sea of energy swept in once again. However, after undergoing the heavenly demon trial and days of non-stop fighting, this level of killing intent could no longer shake the Kaiyubai's mind. He summoned the dark demon, and surging demonic energy clashed against the sea of energy. A heaven-grade treasure. The 4 were greatly shocked, but then became even greedier. Once we finish you, it will be ours. The sea of energy churned, transforming into a massive blood-colored fist that crashed down. The 3rd sword of the 9 heavenly demon swords. The Kaiyubai held the dark demon and a massive black sword key sword into the sky, actually managing to slice that blood-colored fist powerful enough to cripple a key sea realm expert cleanly in 2. Right at that moment, alarm bells rang wildly in the Kaiyubai's heart. 3 ghost-like black shadows emerged silently from his own shadow, from the distorted light, and from the void of the air. They were assassins from the Shadow Guard. This was the moment they had been waiting for. The Kaiyubai's old strength was spent, and his new strength had not yet gathered. At the moment his mind was most relaxed. 3 poisoned pitch-black daggers turned into 3 rays of death, locking down all his paths of retreat. There was no way to dodge. 4th sword. The Kaiyubai roared, forcibly squeezing the last bit of spiritual energy from his body. The dark demon in his hand exploded with even more terrifying demonic power, and a condensed pitch-black sword light swept out. Rumble! The sword light clashed with the sea of energy, demonic energy against the god of slaughter, clashing frantically in this space. The residual energy tore open the ground, leaving behind hideous cracks. Qiu Libei was directly blown away by the storm, his fate unknown. The god of slaughter condensed from killing intent, shattered inch by inch under the power of the 4th sword. The 4 gold-armored warriors spat out a mouthful of essence blood simultaneously, knocked backward by the violent sword key. Their eyes were full of horror. This is absolutely not a power a Purple Mansion realm should possess. However, the Kaiyubai had also reached his limit. His face was deathly pale, and 99% of his spiritual energy was depleted. The hand holding his sword was trembling slightly, and it was at this moment that the 3 long-lurking shadows of death finally launched their true killing blow. Everything before was just a feint, like dormant vipers. They bared their most fatal fangs when their prey was at its weakest. The three daggers were silent, yet carried the power of laws that could pierce through anything. In a pincer attack, they stabbed toward the Kyubai's brow, heart, and danshin. Fast, too fast. So fast that the Kyubai didn't even have time to crush the jade pendant his junior sister had given him. The aura of death instantly enveloped him. Just at this critical juncture, a lazy and somewhat impatient voice suddenly rang out in this space filled with killing intent. Sigh, it's just a fight. So noisy, the moment the voice fell. It was as if time had been paused. Those three lethal daggers capable of severely wounding a peak Ki realm expert stopped less than 3 inches from the Kyubai's body. And then just as suddenly, they silently disintegrated into the purest dust, drifting in the air, as if it never existed. Everyone froze in place. Whether it was the heavily injured golden armored guards on the ground, or those 3 top assassins, all felt as if they'd fallen into an ice cellar. A fear from deep within their souls paralyzed them completely. He looked over in horror towards the sound, only to see, not far away on a boulder, no one knew when, a totally unremarkable man in a blue robe was sitting there. He was yawning, rubbing his sleepy eyes, as if he'd just woken up, complaining that someone had disturbed his pleasant dream. The Kyubai saw who had arrived, and instantly loosened his tense nerves. Surprised and excited, he called out, "Master!" You glanced at the battered the Kyubai, then at the scattered enemies on the ground, frowned and said, "How did you get so messed up? Is the food ready yet?" Those 3 Shadow Guard assassins exchanged a panicked, terrified look, without hesitation, burned their essence, turned into 3 streaks of black smoke, trying to escape. You didn't even glance at them, just impatiently waved your hand, as if shooing away bothersome flies. Noisy, poof, poof, poof. The 3 black smokes didn't even get the chance to scream, before vanishing into thin air, without leaving a single trace behind. The remaining 4 golden armored guards were scared out of their wits, fell to their knees, begging you for mercy. But you acted as if you didn't see them, jumped down from the boulder, walked over to the Kyubai, and patted the dust off him, disdainfully muttering, "So filthy. All right, since the fight is over, don't just stand there in a daze. Hurry and find your junior sister, then go back and cook. I'm hungry." Saying this, you turned and left, as if you'd just crushed a few ants without a care. Faced with this earth-shattering sword strike, the 4 golden armored guards turned pale. It was the only thought in their minds. But seeing the situation left them no room to think. All 4 shouted in rage, each forcing out a drop of their essence from their foreheads. Their faces instantly drained of vitality, as if all their energy had been sucked dry. Those 4 drops of blood essence merged into the bloodthirsty war god. The war god immediately became solid. A pillar of energy shot skyward. Its murderous intent even pierced through the barrier of the mystic realm. Spectators outside couldn't help but take notice. Such a strong killing intent. They're from the Sunset Domain's forces. Such overwhelming power. No one in this mystic realm could possibly defeat them. However, the Kyubai in the center of the storm showed no change of expression. He simply held his sword in one hand and struck again. Boom, rumble, rumble. The overwhelming demonic energy fiercely collided with the bloodthirsty war god. The entire land trembled violently, as if it would collapse at any moment. A wild shockwave swept out in all directions. In the distance, Qiu Libei barely managed to withstand it with all his might. Even the aftershock shattered Yu Baotao's heart. Just the aftershock. How could I have become so much weaker than him? The 4 golden armored guards in the arena looked as pale as paper, clutching desperately to maintain the bloodthirsty war god. Their bodies tottered on the verge of collapse. In contrast, the Kyubai looked completely at ease. Dark demonic energy continued to lash out from the dark demon sword. Very soon, cracks began to cover the bloodthirsty war god's surface. No, where are the shadow guards? Why aren't they making a move yet? All 4 screamed in their hearts. Just then, the Kyubai spoke coldly. "It's time to end this." He gripped his sword with both hands and brought it crashing down. Crack! The bloodthirsty war god exploded on impact. The 4 golden armored guards convulsed as if struck by lightning. spewing out their essence. Their aura withered to a new low. The Kyuubi was about to press the attack when he suddenly sensed danger. An alarm went off in his heart. Without hesitation, he swung his sword above his head. As the space overhead twisted, a black-clad assassin appeared out of nowhere, holding 2 daggers, blocking the sudden sword strike just in time. Finally revealed your true colors? The Kyuubi sneered. He had long anticipated this. The moment he went all out and revealed an opening, these real killers would show themselves. When the strike failed, the black-clad figure tried to slip away into the void. But how could the Kyuubi let him escape? Yet right at that instant, 2 other shadowy figures simultaneously appeared beside him. The most venomous daggers silently slashed at his throat and heart. 3 assassins sealed off all his escape routes from 3 directions. Heavenly Demon 9 swords. The 4th sword, the Kyuubi dared not be careless. Demonic energy formed a sword net shielding his whole body. But those 3 daggers were actually imbued with a strange anti-magic force. Any sword that met them would instantly shatter. The Kyuubi's face changed. He made a split-second decision. Instead of retreating, he advanced.
He unleashed his full strength to force them back with a single strike.
The assassin in front used the force to withdraw. He instantly vanished from where he stood. The 3 black-clad assassins turned into black smoke in pursuit. They pursued relentlessly. Outside the secret realm, dark clouds pressed down over the city. The general from the Falling Sun Lord's faction sneered. By now that the Kyuubi should have already been defeated. What did you do? The Sword Hall Elder erupted with rage. Sword energy soared to the sky. The Scholar's Court Elder put down his book as well.
He stared at him with an icy gaze.
But the general was completely unafraid. Our purpose here is him. So you're hiding in the academy. Are you really willing to go to war with the Falling Sun Lord for a single disciple? The Sword Hall Elder was furious, but was stopped by the Scholar's Court Elder. They both knew well. The general was speaking the truth. The academy wouldn't involve itself in faction disputes so easily. Let's hope the Kyuubi can survive this ordeal. Inside the secret realm, the Kyuubi raced across the blood-red wasteland, while swallowing the pill his master had given him. In just a moment, half of his depleted spiritual energy was restored. No, he's recovering. The assassins chasing from behind sensed something unusual. Burn your source essence. End this quickly. All 3 didn't hesitate. Red auras burst simultaneously from their bodies. Their speed skyrocketed. In an instant, they closed the distance. Seeing this, the Kyuubi stopped in his tracks. The pill's effects were fully absorbed. His strength had returned to its peak. The 3 surrounded him in the center. Without a word, they swiftly formed the fog concealment kill formation. A thick fog instantly enveloped the entire area. The Kyuubi felt his sight, his hearing, even his spiritual sense, all completely severed at that moment. He was dragged into absolute silence and darkness. Suddenly, a black shadow attacked from behind. By the time the Kyuubi realized, it was already too late. Though he narrowly dodged a fatal blow, his shoulder still was slashed open with a deep gash. He furrowed his brow, stood his ground, and slowly closed his eyes. Since senses are useless, he discarded them altogether. He now saw with his heart, pierced through illusion. This is the supreme technique from the primordial sword scripture. The mind's eye can see through deception. Once again, a dagger silently stabbed toward his heart. Yet this time the Kyuubi kept his eyes closed. But the sword in his hand seemed to have eyes of its own, striking back even faster. It precisely slashed directly onto the dagger. Clang! The dagger was knocked away with one strike. The 3 assassins in the shadows were shocked to their core. He saw through our formation. Before they could react, a surge of sword intent exploded violently. It split into 3 terrifying sword auras, each targeting the assassin's hiding spots with deadly precision. Shift the formation. The 3 formation assassins were terrified. They forcibly changed the formation. The fog dissipated, replaced by thousands of dark daggers, raining down on the Kyuubi from every direction, but without their stealth advantage, facing him head-on. A sword cultivator who has mastered sword intent was like an egg hitting a rock. Countless daggers under the overwhelming sword energy were as fragile as paper, instantly shattered to pieces. The three sword auras didn't lose momentum, piercing straight through the assassins' chests. One move finished them off. Outside the formation, Qiu Li Bei and the remaining four golden-armored warriors were completely stunned, especially that sword intent soaring into the sky made them feel as if they'd fallen into an ice cave. Sword intent at such a young age. He actually comprehended sword intent. The Kaiyubai walked toward them step by step. With every step he took, the sword energy around him grew even stronger. In his eyes, the five were already the next to fall. Arrogant! One of the golden-armored warriors shouted, forcing out a bloody fist with fake bravado. The Kaiyubai didn't even look, simply relying on his protective sword intent, tore that bloody fist to shreds. In the next instant, he moved in a flash, appearing before the golden-armored warrior, hand-shaped like a sword, pointing directly at the warrior's forehead. Splat.
His finger struck the vital spot.
How dare you defy the falling Sun Lord's domain forces? Before the words left his mouth, the man had already fallen. The survivors were horrified by this scene, immediately turning to flee. The Kaiyubai slashed behind him, sweeping fiercely. His sword energy surged outward, instantly cutting down the remaining two golden-armored warriors. They lost all fighting power. After doing all this, he finally turned around slowly and gazed at Qiu Li Bei, whose legs had long gone weak, collapsed paralyzed on the ground. The Kaiyubai. I didn't do anything. For the sake of our old ties, please spare me. The Kaiyubai's eyes were icy cold, as if he were looking at the dead. Under the Kaiyubai's chilling stare, Qiu Li Bei's mental defenses completely collapsed. Trembling, he begged for his life. Don't hurt me. I'll never bother you again. I'll do anything you say. Whatever you want,
He said, falling to his knees.
kowtowing to the Kaiyubai again and again. The Kaiyubai still remained silent, just lifted his foot and kicked a large rock. Bang! The rock shattered. Countless sharp fragments shot out like swords, instantly piercing Qiu Li Bei's limbs and body. One shard even accurately pierced his danshan. Qiu Li Bei let out a blood-curdling scream. The aura from his body faded like the tide. His danshan was destroyed, and all his cultivation lost. He became a cripple, feeling the changes in his body. The lost glimmer of hope in Qiu Li Bei's eyes vanished, turning into endless despair and hatred. He screamed, "If you have guts, kill me. Do it if you dare." But the Kaiyubai didn't even spare him another glance. He turned and walked away. Defeating someone like that, he felt it simply wasn't worth it. The day before the trial ended, the Kaiyubai reunited with Hong Ying. Senior brother, the falling Sun Lord's people are dealt with. Yes, more or less. Hong Ying wasn't surprised by this. As a disciple of their master, if you couldn't handle trouble like this, that would be strange. Junior sister, did you finish your business? The Kaiyubai asked.
Almost.
Hong Ying nodded. Once my strength returns to its peak, I'll head back to battle again. And may need your help next time, senior brother. Of course, the Kaiyubai agreed without hesitation. The two spent a day wandering the secret realm, encountering some inheritances along the way, but neither showed much interest. One had the primordial sword scripture, the other was the ancient empress herself. Their horizons were already extraordinary, not to mention their master. I'm afraid anything you casually pull out is 100 times better than these so-called inheritances. On the way, they ran into others who had hidden themselves in the academy, except for Zhang Wu, who still looked calm and composed. Everyone else was more or less injured. The day passed quickly. Everyone left the Qiuan secret realm through the teleportation portal. When the elders of the main hall and literature hall saw the Kaiyubai return safely, they all breathed a sigh of relief. Yet the general from the Sunset Overlord faction instantly had a dark look on his face. The Kaiyubai didn't fall. Where are my men and the Shadow Guard's assassins?
He lunged forward in a flash.
Water. The oppressive force at the pinnacle of intent pressed down on the Kaiyubai like a mountain. That guy, where are my men? Outrageous! The Sword Hall elder blocked in front of the Kaiyubai. A burst of sword energy instantly shattered that pressure, and then, with a backhand, slashed at the general. The two fought, and were evenly matched in one move. This is not your Sunset Domain Overlord's territory. The Sword Hall elder shouted angrily. The general's face turned grim. He defeated my men. Hand him over, and I'll let this go. Otherwise, one day my Asura cavalry will raze your hidden academy to the ground. Then we'll be waiting for you. The literature hall elder chuckled softly. The Kyuubi also glared at him coldly. One day, I will personally pay a visit to the Sunset Overlord faction. The general was so angry he laughed instead. In the end, he could only leave a harsh parting remark, and left resentfully. The opponents wanted to act up too, but under the Sword Hall elder's harsh stare, they could only take the now crippled Kyuubi and back away with their tails between their legs. At this moment, above the Chuan secret realm, an invisible barrier cut off the inside from the outside. Dark clouds rolled above. Thunder dragons roared. A massive face formed by thunderclouds was staring grimly below. A man in a teal robe wearing a white fox mask. Who in the world are you? The giant face asked in a deep voice. With your strength, you shouldn't exist in this world. I'm wearing a mask, specifically so people won't recognize me. Why are you asking such a stupid question? Lu Changshan yawned and replied lazily. The giant face suppressed his anger. Then why did you stop me? Why are you messing with my disciple? The Cloud Empress forcibly cultivated the Ninth Revolution reincarnation, trying to re-establish the Heavenly Tao. That's a serious forbiddance act. You nodded your head. Hasn't the Heavenly Tao here been destroyed? Re-establishing it sounds like a good idea. Or do you guys want to do it yourselves? You hit the nail on the head. The giant lotus flew into a rage out of embarrassment. Millions of thunder dragons charged at you roaring. But that world-ending thunder couldn't even break through the 3 feet of spiritual energy surrounding you. Just stirring up some ripples in vain. You pointed casually, and all the thunder dragons disappeared into light, scattering. Friend, the giant face's tone eased, with a hint of temptation. We're both stuck in this world. As long as you stay out of it, we can help you leave this universe. Why would I want to leave? You retorted, life here is easy with food, drink, and people to serve you. No backstabbing either. Why run somewhere else to suffer? Am I stupid? The giant face was left speechless by you, and could only throw out a threat. If that's your decision, one day when our true forms descend, you might not be able to stop us. You shrugged at his words, and felt a bit uneasy inside. But for your own chill, lazy lifestyle, you could only wave your hand nonchalantly. Next time bring more people with you. That should scare them off, right? All right, I'll remember your words, friend. The giant face gave you a deep look, then faded away. The barrier disappeared, leaving only you, standing alone in the wind, dazed. Maybe I talked too big. You hurried back to Kaodin, pacing anxiously atop the cliff, full of worry. The formation's ready, but you can't rush cultivation. What else can I prepare? Master, what are you so anxious about? The Kyuubi and Hongying just happened to return, and asked curiously, when you saw your 2 precious disciples, your eyes lit up, and you promptly shoved them into the house. Hurry up and go train. If you can't get stronger, don't come out. If I can't beat them, I'll send my disciples. Nothing wrong with that. The Kyuubi and Hongying exchanged glances, and could only give helpless, wry smiles. Their master probably has no clue about his own strength. In the days that followed, Kaoding returned to its former peace. The Kyuubi spent his time cultivating, or sparring with the new Hongyi in swordsmanship, and sometimes took on the role of head chef. As for Hongying, apart from meals, she was basically in seclusion. You, as always, lounged in your chair soaking up the sun, just a little more subtly worried than before. 10 days later at mealtime. All right, Kyuubi, go set another place, you said without even looking up. The Kyuubi was confused but did as told, and still followed orders. When he came out of the kitchen with the set of dishes, there was already a middle-aged man at the table. It was none other than Qin Tianan, the principal of Kangdao Academy. Changshan, you're really living the good life here. Qin Tianan picked up the bowl and chopsticks. He smiled and said without any hesitation. You replied helplessly, Uncle Qin. If you have something to say, just say it. No rush, no rush. Qin Tianan grabbed a bite of food. He couldn't stop praising it. Let's eat first. We'll talk after the meal. I haven't eaten anything for hundreds of years. You shot Qin Tianan a disdainful look, then began eating on your own. This wine is pretty good. Qin Tianan poured himself a drink and sipped.
He smacked his lips.
It's strange after drinking this wine. I feel like the cultivation I've struggled with for years is actually advancing. Changsheng, did you brew this wine yourself? You finally couldn't take it anymore. You waved your hand casually. A massive wine jar appeared out of thin air. It landed right in front of Qin Tianan. With a grim face, you said, "Take it away. Hurry and take it away." Oh, that feels so embarrassing. Qin Tianan acted polite, but his actions were very honest, putting the wine jar into his storage ring. The Cayubai and Hong Ying watched, stunned. Was this really their imposing director? After the food and drink, Qin Tianan finally got down to business. I'm here today to discuss the 4 Imperial Academies exchange. Our Kangdao Academy is split among the 4 Imperials. Every 10 years, there is an exchange tournament. The written test determines the allocation of academy resources. The academy competition back then was for this selection. So Cayubai, you need to come with me to the northern region. The northern region is territory controlled by the Sunset Lord. Jiang Chan is also there. The Cayubai glanced at you. Seeing you respond calmly, go or not, you decide for yourself. His gaze hardened, and his hesitance turned into determination instantly. He nodded vigorously. Very good. Qin Tianan smiled with satisfaction. He then looked at Hong Ying. What about you? Hong Ying shook her head. I have other important matters. But I too will head for the northern region. Once things are settled, I'll come find senior brother. All right, tomorrow morning. Let's meet at the academy gate. The next day, a crane soared into the sky. Qin Tianan personally led the team. In addition to the Cayubai, the group included Huo Qingming, Lin Siyi, Zhang Muxin, Hong Yi, 5 people, and one calm young man the Cayubai had never seen before. Jin Hongyi quietly introduced him. His name is Huang Yuan. He's the director's personally taught disciple. He's been cultivating in seclusion all this time. Today is the first time he has appeared. The literary elder solemnly announced the rules. The exchange is divided into martial and literary Dao. The martial Dao team will be led by Huang Yuan. The Cayubai, you 4 will participate. Literary Dao will be handled by one person from Zhongmu. Qin Tianan looked at the talented youths before him.
His tone was serious.
Our southern region has ranked last for several rounds, but this time is our southern region's most promising chance. With that, he and the literary elder both deeply bowed to everyone at the same time. The Academy's honor is in your hands. 2 highly respected powerhouses giving such a grand salute shows how much they value this exchange, and made everyone feel the heavy weight on their shoulders. Meanwhile, the academies of the East, West, and North regions were also making final preparations. The top spot should still belong to the Northern region. We just need to outperform the Southern region. The Southern region has weak foundations. Bottom of the rankings for 10,000 years. Not worth worrying about. The martial Dao has senior brother Jianxin. The literary Dao has senior sister Mu Yao. This time, our northern region will definitely win again. As the 4 regions were caught in the chaos, in a nameless small village in the northern region, a young man with the look of a scholar had just finished his last lesson for the village children. Sir, are you leaving tomorrow? Sir, please don't go. We still want to hear your lectures. The young man smiled warmly. All good things must come to an end. I'm still on my journey of learning. I must leave now. The next morning before dawn, the young man left a few books behind. Quietly departing the village with his book basket, he glanced back at the village with smoke rising from the chimneys. His eyes were full of reluctance. Can't bear to leave, a calm voice sounded behind him. The young man was startled. Turning around, he saw a man in white robes, who had somehow appeared there, looking elegant like an immortal. My name is Lu Changsheng. I want to accept you as my disciple, just as you did after the Cayubai left. You were thinking of taking on another disciple. Maybe the system reward would be even greater. So you roamed the 4 desires. When you passed by here, the system notification finally sounded. Task triggered. Accept a disciple at Hedao Village. Ning Chengxing, talent level SSS. Mighty righteous energy. Innate literary Dao physique. Peak talent. Another peak talent. Ning Chengxing pointed at himself and asked blankly. First you want to take me as your disciple, but I don't know how to cultivate. You chuckled lightly. Then what do you think Dao is? Your words boomed like a grand bell, resonating in Ning Chengsing's mind. He fell into deep contemplation. And you just quietly created a barrier and waited in silence. 4 days later, Ning Chengsing's body was surrounded by a faint white aura, all without a teacher. That is the righteous energy. He opened his eyes. There was understanding in his eyes, but still some confusion. Immortal Master, what is the Tao truly about? You didn't answer directly. Instead, you asked, why do you study? Ning Chengsing paused, then answered firmly, to continue the sage's teachings, and to bring peace to the world. I study to educate the world, to avoid soldiers and war. As soon as he finished speaking, a golden beam of merit descended from the sky, bathing him. You nodded. A flower, a tree, a speck of dust. Everything can become Tao. You study for world peace. That is your Tao. Your voice grew deeper, echoing like the great Tao in his ears. Tao that can be spoken is not the true Tao. Name that can be named is not the true name. Boom! Ning Chengsing felt like he was struck by lightning. The final barrier in his mind shattered instantly. He sat cross-legged. Righteous energy soared around him. His Tao heart was established at this moment, entering Tao through literature. After a long while, he opened his eyes, knelt down before you on both knees, and respectfully bowed. Disciple Ning Chengsing greets Master. You nodded with satisfaction, and gifted him the Tai Si Chu Wudian from the system rewards, and told him about the 2 senior brothers and sisters. But Ning Chengsing did not go back with you, and chose to continue training in the mundane world, using the experience to strengthen his Tao. You permitted him, left him a jade pendant, containing a sword array and voice transmission, then departed. Back at the cottage, you started worrying again you didn't bring anyone back. So now there's no one to cook. The willow tree and the little bird. Now, in the northern region sunset, domain lord's territory, a weak general knelt before young Lord Huang Tenming. Your Highness, the mission failed. The Kaiyubai has gone to the academy with Nan Yu Kang. Arriving, Huang Tianming fiddled with the golden canary in the cage. He didn't even lift his eyelids. Got it. Send the message to the Shadow Guard, and notify the Northern Region Academy. Tell them to prepare well. Yes. After the general backed out, Huang Tianming finally looked at the empty space behind him, his voice icy cold. Heaven's path open and you don't take it. Hell has no gates and you break in. The Southern Region group arrived at Northern Region Kangdao Academy, and immediately felt a huge difference. The buildings here are more grand. The disciples are numerous. But in the air, lingered an intense pressure of survival of the fittest. Along the way, the Northern Region disciples' disdainful words were clearly heard. That is the Southern Region. Wild land. The visitors don't look impressive either. Just them. I doubt they could withstand even one finger from senior brother. Huo Qingming and others were furious, but were stopped by Huang Yuan and the Kaiyubai. No need to argue now. The Kaiyubai replied calmly. Tomorrow we'll shut them up with our strength. Right as everyone settled into their accommodation, the academy gate was pushed open. A group of Northern Region disciples walked straight in. The leading young man said with a forced smile, Brother, sorry for being abrupt. We came to invite you all to tonight's banquet, so the 4 Imperials' talents can get to know each other ahead of time. This doesn't seem like an invitation. It looks more like a Hongmen banquet. Huang Guang glanced at everyone. The Kaiyubai nodded first. The others had no objection. Huang Yuan said in a deep voice, We'll attend on time tonight. That young man's eyes flashed with amused intent, and he left satisfied.